Make way for the batting of Brioche.
All right, Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube. At Mike Gill Show, everybody. What's going on? Welcome aboard. We're live at Chickies and Pizzas. We are every Thursday. I almost didn't make it here, PG. Had the bridge go up.
You sent me that text, and all of a sudden, my ears perked up.
The bridge was up on my way over here. And I sat at that bridge for about, a good 10 minutes or so, or longer. And I'm here. I made it.
Just a nice boat ride, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, man. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Dodgers, Phillies on Saturday. Dodgers, Phillies Saturday. Chickies and Pete's will be the place to be. I can tell you that much. This place is going to be rocking. Shohei Ohtani, Christopher Sanchez. Game 1. 6:08 or 6:38, depending on the game tonight, what happens there. We're going to be looking at this game because the Dodgers, when you watch them the last two games, what did your initial thought be? Wow, that team's really good. Isn't that what you think when you watch them play the last two nights? Wow, they're really good. This is the Dodgers they were supposed to be. They pitch. Their starting pitching's really good. Their bullpen's a problem. We will, get into that. But their offense just keeps coming at you. They're relentless. Kike Hernandez. I mean, dude, the guy's Ted Williams all of a sudden when it gets to the playoffs. He hit 198 this season. And then, of course, he gets to the playoffs. Last night he's a factor in the game. But does that Dodger lineup, is that the difference maker in this series? Because we talked about it with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City yesterday. Both teams, the Phillies and the Dodgers, who has better starting pitching? Like right now, if you're rolling into the game on Saturday night and you have Shohei Ohtani pitching, if you're that team, do you feel better than the team that has Christopher Sanchez?
Yes.
So you like Ohtani better than Sanchez. In Game 2, the Phillies likely will throw Ranger Suarez. They will probably counter. I would imagine they go back to Blake Snell would probably be where they go. And then that means a left-handed pitcher, which then makes you have to get Marsh and Stott and Kepler out of the lineup. So you're looking at probably a lineup with Nick Castellanos, Weston Wilson,
Sosa,
and Edmundo Sosa if they end up going that direction. And then the third game, it would probably be Yamamoto, who threw last night. And pretty much other than the one inning, he dominated that game. So that's the situation right now. On the surface, sight unseen, don't know the pitching matchups yet. Those are just guesses. Now, apparently last night in the inter-squad game, Luzardo threw pretty well, had 6 strikeouts at one point. I think he struck out the first 6 outs, I think, were all strikeouts in the game last night. On the surface, Phillies-Dodgers, Ohtani-Sanchez, that's Game 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10, I'm confident as all heck. 1, got no shot to win this series. Where are you at? 609-403-0973. Feel like, hey, beating the Dodgers 4 out of 6 times during the regular season. Last couple times we've played them in the playoffs, Phillies have won those series. Why should this one be any different? How's everybody feeling out there? Sight unseen, don't know the pitching matchups other than Saturday night. The first pitching matchup, Shohei Ohtani dealt a no-no against you when they pulled him out of that game the last time you saw the Dodgers. The big question for me in that game has got to be what? How long does Ohtani pitch? Like, we're seeing all these pitchers in the postseason. Most of these aces are going deeper into games. Most of these aces their pitch count is up.
It's about time. I mean, you're not saving them for anything else, right?
Well, you're not saving them for anything else except for deeper into the playoffs. We've seen a lot, and I will say this. I'm not a big pitch count guy. I'm not a big, hey, he's had 105, you got to get him out. Like, the difference between 105 and 115, in my estimation, for a grown man, is probably not all that big. But we have seen situations where a guy has thrown a lot of pitches in a game, and then the next game, he was not the same guy in recent past. Michael Lorenzen, remember he threw that no-hitter for the Phillies that night, and he was never the same guy after that. We have seen guys throw, complete games and go a little bit over their quote-unquote normal pitch counts, and then the next game was not a great outing for them. Now, that could be circumstantial of, hey, you throw a great game the one day, and then the next day you don't have the same stuff.
I think for Ohtani, this is going to be his playoff debut on the mound.
It is. First game that Shohei Ohtani has ever pitched in a playoff game. I don't think that will faze him. I have a hunch that says that he will not be fazed by pitching for the first time in a playoff game. But what I will say is this. If Ohtani's allowed to go and he's allowed to pitch the full brigade of innings, I don't know what that is. Is he at an 80-pitch limit? Is he at a 100-pitch limit? That changes the game because the last time you played them, you had to get him – you got him out of the game. And if you didn't get him out of the game, you may not have scored, right? And if he's allowed to go deeper into the game, that means the margin of error for your guy shrinks.
And you're in serious trouble. I mean, if he goes 7-8 innings, you're in serious trouble, I would say.
Well, the last time you saw him, you didn't get a hit. That would not be optimal. In the immortal words of Gabe Kapler, not getting a hit would not be optimal. So if this guy's able to go 7-8 innings, that changes the dynamics of the matchup because, you're like, oh, we beat the Dodgers the last time an Ohtani pitched. He had a no-hitter. They took him out in the fifth.
And the road to beating the Dodgers is to get to their bullpen.
Have to. I mean, the Reds had a shot in that series. Now, I will say they had bases loaded, nobody out in that game against Yamamoto and couldn't score. I mean, it was 2-0 Cincinnati last night. Then 3-2, that freaking Kiki Hernandez. If he is the guy who ends up, he's the most infuriating guy of them all, is he not?
Yes. He's been doing it since Chase Utley was a Dodger.
Dude, I feel like that guy is, you're right. He has been a part of this run for the Dodgers, and he stinks during the regular season. He stinks. He's like the Boston Celtic players against the Sixers when they play in the playoffs. All these guys who sat in the – by the way, the Sixers are playing over in Abu Dhabi right now. I can't read that score. What's it say, 84-62?
Yeah, they're down 20, 22. Yeah.
No Embiid, right?
No Embiid, no PG. But don't worry, the Knicks have all their guys healthy and starting.
Well, we'll keep you up to date. Sixers play today and then Saturday at 11 o'clock. So anyway, Kike Hernandez has been such a pain in the ass, but that's the guy. That's the guy, who comes up big in these moments. That what's the difference between you being what you are and then the win the World Series is your stars do stuff. Ohtani, a couple of bombs. Mookie Betts had a double or drove in a couple runs.
Teoscar.
Hernandez with a homer, right?
Yeah.
But Kike Hernandez, they're down 2-0 in that game, and he gives them the spark. He gives them the life. They go up 3-2. Then the Reds have bases loaded, nobody out. And you're like, you got to get a run, something, anything here. Scratch, claw, do whatever you can. And Yamamoto bears down and gets out. I think he had. Did he end up striking out the side there? In the what was that? The fifth. They had bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see. I'm trying to remember back to that inning.
It might have been the fifth or the sixth, because the bottom of the sixth is when the wheels came
It was
off.
the sixth.
Yeah.
It was the sixth, and he struck out. De La Cruz to end that inning. So that was the sixth inning. And you can't get a run with bases loaded, nobody out. That was your shot right there. And then, the bullpen gets into the game, and, it starts to get a little nail-bitey at the end of the game. But we all know, if you're playing the Dodgers, the formula is to get to the bullpen. Are the Phillies good enough? All right, that's what I want to know from people. Does everybody out there feel like they are good enough to get into their bullpen?
Now, the bullpen could be a little different by the time Saturday and Monday roll around with Kershaw, Glasnow perhaps, this Sasaki last night.
Yep.
Got the save.
Yep, Sasaki got Sasaki missed most of the season. Now, I will say, I had him on my fantasy team. His first couple starts, he was not what you had hoped for if you were a Dodger fan. That doesn't mean he's got a ton of talent. But you just said it. Glasnow, Kershaw, these are guys that you now add to your bullpen. You add the depth, and this is a tough series. To boil it down, this is tough, and I'll tell you why it's extra tough. Okay, one. You got Ohtani pitching. When he's on, he's a Cy Young candidate, right? They got the lefty and Snell, so that makes you a lesser team, in my opinion. The Phillies, when they face a lefty, are not as good because their best two hitters are both left-handed, and then that minimizes the other lefties or even pulls them out of the game altogether. So now you have Schwarber and Harper, who, yes, I know, both hit lefties pretty well, but you want to maximize those two guys against right-handed pitching. The big thing, though, is Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hernandez, Muncy, Pages. Their lineup is deep, man. And they have a deep lineup that when you play against the Mets in the playoffs, you really only have to navigate yourself through Lindor. I know last year Soto wasn't there, but even if, like this year, you're playing the Mets in the playoffs, you really only have to navigate your way through Lindor, Soto, Alonso. And the Phillies had problems getting guys like Nemo out, right? They couldn't get Nemo out, and who's the third baseman that crushed them last year? Vientos last year. They had problems getting that level of guy out. The Dodgers have that level of guy pretty much 1 through – they drop off a little bit around 7 or 8. The catcher bunts every time he's up. All right, text board seems like it's filling up right now, Josh. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. 40 Kid is watching on YouTube. He says, Red October, baby. I'm pumped for Saturday. Let's go, Phils. Dodgers bullpen will be the downfall. Downfall was a Trust Company, I believe, sang that song.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You can always depend on me for songs that Mike Gill hates here on the Sports Bar.
I actually didn't mind that song.
You usually anything that was post grunge, you've
Well, it was that era was but that was kind of I like the Trust Company Downfall. That was a good one.
It's like Trust Company, Edema, they're all kind of the same.
The genre was not very good, but that particular song was fine.
Over on the text board, Andrew in Summers Point chimes in and says, Ohtani, we cannot hit. We have to hope on rocking their bullpen if he doesn't shut us out and throw a complete game. We can't hit him. I think the Dodgers will take game 1, says Andrew in Summers Point.
Yeah, right now, if you're asking me, Ohtani, Sanchez, I love Christopher Sanchez. It's the most unbelievable story, I think, in baseball when you really think about where this guy came from. I think Ohtani is the better pitcher. Not the better. I don't even know if that's fair. I think Ohtani against the Phillies lineup is a better matchup than Sanchez against their lineup. I think the Phillies have already shown that they just had no shot. They were overmatched and outclassed by Ohtani.
I would just say that the problem with Ohtani is that I just feel like his pitching skill set is a skill set that leans into the weakness of the Phillies, which is the Phillies are not a very disciplined ball club when it comes to hitting. He gets you to chase a lot, and if you're a team that chases a lot, you're gonna struggle against Ohtani. To me, it's that simple.
They're gonna have to be patient. I mean,
they haven't been patient.
Well,
and
the big question is he on a pitch limitation? Is he on a pitch count? Because if that's the case,
I would say
you
so.
can at least have a game plan of make him throw pitches, right? Like take a pitch, make him work his pitch count, stuff like that, where you can't be like sometimes you sit with your group of guys, say, hey, Ohtani likes to throw a lot of first pitch fastballs. Let's be aggressive and swing first pitch fastball. Well, if you want to try to get his pitch count up, you don't want to be swinging first pitch fastball.
Correct.
Because you want to try to, if he throws one pitch to every single guy, all right, now you've thrown at least 6 pitches in the inning, because you didn't swing at the first pitch. So now he's at least up to 6 every inning. Some of these guys swing first pitch, and you're getting, 7 pitch innings or 4 pitch innings, and you get those back to back, and now he's into the game into the 7th inning. I don't know how deep into this game that they're going to let him pitch. I mean, what's the most pitches he's thrown all season in a game? I think it was the Phillies game when he had the no-hitter going.
And Yamamoto last night, that was a career high for him, 113.
Correct.
We're not going to get that from Ohtani, but I guess that's what their game plan is. Let their starters just max them out.
Well, and your point that you brought up is, okay, let's say Ohtani gets you to the 6th or 7th, and maybe they let him go to 80, 90 pitches, okay? Now you have Sasaki. You can, I hate the word piggyback because I hate that being a plan for a game because you're essentially going into a game anticipating that your starter is going to stink. But in this situation, if you have a pitch count because of injury, now you can plan for a piggyback because you're saying he's only throwing 70 pitches no matter what happens here. Don't care how dominant you are. And then we're going to go to this guy. So that could be a strong possibility where they have some pretty good options to come in and pitch, say, the 5th, 6th, 7th innings before they have to get into, their wobbly bullpen.
And that's part of what Tim Kircher was mentioning last night on the telecast heard here on 97.3 ESPN. Kircher was saying that he could see a scenario where they look to Kershaw and be like, hey, this guy who our starter can only go 5 innings, you're next, buddy. And now imagine that scenario. Instead of going to one of the losers, shall we call them, in the Dodgers bullpen, now you got a guy like Kershaw coming out in the 5th and 6th innings at you.
609-403-0973. We'll do text messages throughout the hour here. So if you got a text, you want to get it read and reacted, we'll do text messages from now till 3 o'clock. What do we got?
Also, we got a text. Didn't leave their name, but they said the Phillies can chase the starters out of the game early. They will win this series. If they can't get the starters out and the Dodgers consistently go 6 to 7 innings, they will have a hard time winning this series. So that's from Anonymous.
Agree. I mean, bullpen, getting into their bullpen, definitely top of the line. Who was the lefty that came in last night? What's his name? Vizsla. Why am I blanking on his name?
Right? Oh, I can see him, too. I'm having trouble. Yeah, it starts with a V.
Vesia,
yeah.
Jeez. Vesia. He's one of their better lefties, and, they don't have, like, even Tanner Scott, he's been tough, but they don't have a great, like, San Diego, when you bring in Mason Miller in the 8th and then you're going to Suarez in the 9th,
right?
Those two guys are devastating.
But the Phillies showed you that they can hit their bullpen guys. They're their best bullpen guys.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Vesia is not on the level. Tanner Scott's not on the level of what you would see if you face, like,
San Diego. Yeah. Right, exactly.
All right, what else we got?
Steven Bender says the Phillies need Sanchez and Lazardo to go 7 innings. This bullpen isn't deep enough to pull starters in the 5th.
I would almost, I agree with that, but I would almost take a step further. They got to try to get into the 8th, right? You got to hope those guys can maybe get you 8 innings, and then you only need to have Duran pitch 1 inning. Or, if you're into the 8th, yes, obviously. I mean, if you pitch 7 innings and you only have to have an 8th and 9th inning. But the formula that I saw in these first couple games with Skubal, Crochet, those guys pitched into – the 8th inning.
And Fried really should have probably stayed out there.
Yep. And you saw what happened was they pulled Fried early and had to go to their bullpen, and that was a disaster. The Red Sox and Detroit both let their guy go into the 8th inning, and they both got 2/3 of an inning into the 8th, and then the closer came in and got 4-out saves. And Johan Duran does have a history of pitching multiple innings and getting 4-out saves.
I always am cautious about that 4-out, 5-out save because the adrenaline.
They don't do it a lot. Yep.
The adrenaline you just lose it.
Going
to the 9th inning.
Do you redo the entrance? Like, does he come back
from
out?
the dugout?
Yeah. Well, you send them back out to the bullpen.
Oh, yeah,
and have them come
jog
back
out,
in.
and turn right back around. Yeah.
We got a text that brings up an interesting point, guys. At 609-403-0973, they say, we know Castellanos isn't patient. Nick will be an automatic out versus guys like Ohtani. Is there a possibility maybe, Mike and Pete, that you tell Castellanos you're not starting any game this series?
It's a possibility, minimal. I think they're going to go with their platoons. I think that Castellanos will face Blake Snell. And if Kershaw starts a game for whatever reason, I don't think that he would, then Castellanos does play because Max Kepler has not shown. Now, he did hit a home run against a lefty the other day, so I think Brandon Marsh is the interesting one. Do they let Marsh play against a lefty? He has had a much better run against lefties in the second half of the season, especially over the last 2 months. So do they give Marsh the games against lefties, or do they stick with Weston Wilson?
I think, didn't Marsh and Stott both play against Snell in L.A.?
If they did, it didn't go
last
so
month?
well.
Marsh was 0 for 3 against Snell.
Yeah,
right, so he did play both. He played both guys.
Right. They have let those guys face lefties a little bit more. Not as much Kepler.
For his career, though, here's Castellanos. Not good sign, Mike. If you're an analytics guy, Castellanos for his career, 0.95 batting average against Snell, 2 for 21.
And what's Kepler? That might, you talk about
Kepler's 0 for 11.
Okay, well, that's no good either. I mean, by the way, just for people out there wondering, Blake Snell's really good. I mean, the guy's won Cy Young. Then the Phillies did get to him when he was in. One of the problems with Snell is he doesn't get deep into games, so he has a propensity.
He's a 5-inning wonder.
Yeah, he now the thing in Philadelphia, the game at Dodger Stadium was the weird thing where Roberts went to the mound and then tried to take him out, and the pitcher was running onto the field, and they had to send him back.
By the way, the Phillies play with the best numbers in their career against Blake Snell is Edmundo Sosa.
So I would imagine he's in the game.
So that's a lock that he's playing.
609-403-0973. What else?
I did think this one text. It's not about the Phillies. We did get Jeff from OC wants to know what you think about the Sixers game today.
They have it on here at Chickies and Pete's, so if you want to stop out and watch it, it is in It's 87-70, Jeff. And I was in the studio earlier today getting ready for the show, and we do not have NBA TV in the studio, so I couldn't watch it there. I probably could have brought it up on my phone because I have YouTube TV. But it is on here. What do I think about the Sixers today? I got no thoughts on the Sixers because Embiid's not playing. Paul George isn't playing. Quentin Grimes didn't make the thing. I want to see
Jared
how Ed's
McCain's
going.
obviously not playing.
No Jared McCain. So, yeah. All right, more text messages. We'll devote the full segment to your text messages coming up on the other side. 609-403-0973. Ohtani, Sanchez, Red October. It all starts this Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, Eagles-Broncos. Plenty of thoughts on that. We're going to talk to Q Myers. Jeff Nadu has his college football best bets at 3:30. Football at 4 with Andrew DiCecco. He was in the locker room yesterday. We'll get his take on A.J. Brown and that whole situation. All that and more. We're live. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's, Tropicana, Atlantic City on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. There you go. Trust Company, downfall. Good pick. Text board's open, 609-403-0973. We're going to talk to Q Myers in a little bit from Game Night on ESPN Radio. Get his takeaways on what he thinks about A.J. Brown and that whole scenario. Is it over with? Now, apparently last night there was another little text run-in with Seth Joyner.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be attacking former Eagles.
Like, so he said something, right? And then A.J. responded to him on Twitter, and then he took it down? Is that how I understand
yes,
it?
he deleted it, yep.
Was it
Soft
like,
move.
Does anybody know what he said? Because I did hear about this a little bit. But from what I understand, now, does anybody know exactly what he said?
Yeah, screenshots live forever, right?
Yep.
So he said to Seth Joyner,
did Seth Joyner say something first?
I think he might have. Yeah, I think
he had to have,
yeah,
right?
He did, yeah.
And A.J. was responding to that?
Yes.
So Seth Joyner basically said, weak sauce, don't do so. I'm assuming, right? This is how this happened?
Basically.
Yeah, he basically said that, he had gone on to, shall we call it, critique A.J. Brown's frustration.
was towing the company line, blah, blah, blah.
And
Right.
what did A.J. respond with?
A.J. responded to Seth saying, the audacity of you telling someone to do their job. My stats every year backs that up, that I'm doing mine. How about you do your job and call out the BS, but you won't because they're paying you, so you have to play along and be a good boy. These old heads can be trip boy.
Ouch.
And then it was deleted shortly after.
And then he deleted it.
And then there's another tweet.
Was that one of those things where Big Dom is the meme of like Tony Soprano driving over, and they're like Big Dom on his way over to A.J. Brown's house right now?
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe take his phone away from him.
Well,
for a
you know
week.
what he's insinuated is that Seth Joyner knows the problem. How dare you try to call me out when you know what the issue is?
Right. And then Joyner claps back at him, by the way, says, don't delete what you say. Stand on and let's talk about it. The audacity of the truth is what we're dealing with. The team is 4-0, says Seth Joyner.
Well, right. Joyner, and listen, this is one of those situations where sometimes there's a problem, right? It's boiling, and you need it to boil over so that it gets addressed. Because if it doesn't get addressed and it lingers, you have a bigger problem.
Well, this could be said last year with the Brandon Graham situation.
Correct.
Reading a book on the sidelines.
But 2 years ago, it could have lingered and lingered and lingered and then just lingered too long and derailed their season. Last year, maybe it lingered and then came to the top, addressed it, and moved on from it. Now you're at a boiling point again right now, whereas Seth Joyner's saying, hey, don't go to social media. If you have a problem, address it. And then A.J. Brown's clapping back with a, dude, you know the problem. Don't question what the problem is. You know I can't say what the real problem is.
But that's the problem. That
he
is,
called him an old head. That was
hours earlier, AJ was in front of all the media. We played the audio yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, that's my
where
problem.
he's saying, I was just frustrated.
Well, I think that's his way of trying to diffuse the problem to the media, but maybe...
But then he re-escalated it.
Yeah, I agree.
2 hours
I
later,
agree that the fact that he obviously said something, and then what he said wasn't him being contrite.
I don't have a problem with what A.J. Brown is saying necessarily. I have a problem with how he's
Did you guys
expressing
hear,
it.
Yeah. Did you guys hear Ryan Clark today on First Take?
No.
I did not.
Okay. So Ryan Clark is a guy who's got himself into some trouble by saying some things.
Yes.
But his whole explanation was, I have been A.J. Brown. In other words, like he said, when I signed with Washington, I thought that I would have got more money. And I didn't. And I was frustrated by it. And then I'm in the airplane, and I'm so frustrated that I message, he's like, that's just me. Like, if something is on my mind, I just can't let it go. And he's like, I'm an idiot. I was an idiot. He's like, I blame myself. It's my fault. but that's just who I am. Like, I can't let it go unless I say something, and it might be in that manner. So he's saying I can understand how AJ, like, can't let this go without getting it off his chest in some capacity.
Does he have to be a distraction and disruptive, or can
That's
he
the
just
question.
go to
Well, that's
Jalen
the
Hurts
thing.
or Kevin Patullo and talk it out?
I don't mind you saying something, but say it to the right person. Don't go on
Go to the
social
source,
media.
right.
Like,
Right.
if AJ Brown so intently needs to say something, we got to address whatever he thinks needs to be addressed. If I'm AJ Brown, I'm not picking up my phone. I'm not jumping on social media. I'm walking into Sirianni's office, or heck, go to Big Dom. Say, Big Dom, can you set up a meeting with me with particular people so we can all sit down and wait for the meeting and have a conversation?
Yeah, I thought the way that AJ handled it yesterday was predictable. Like, he was going to flash his little smile and just be
Exactly.
like, yeah, guys, it was just me.
Does
I
that
was
make
wrong.
him disingenuous?
I don't think he's disingenuous. I also really don't think I don't want to say he doesn't mean anything by it, because I think he's definitely, there is a message he's trying to get out there. I just can't figure out who it's directed at or why. Is he upset because his relationship with Hurts has deteriorated?
But if it has, he needs to go talk to Hurts about it.
Instead of sending out a cryptic tweet.
Exactly. Or yelling at Seth Joyner and then deleting it.
Well, listen, we all know the right way to handle things, but many times in the moment, we don't handle them the right way either, right? It's easy, like I said before, it's easy for the fans to say, you got to bench Nick Castellanos. Until you got to walk up to a $20 million player and say, yo, dude, you're benched. That doesn't go over too well. There's a lot of anxiety that builds up when you have to confront somebody that you're not comfortable confronting. And you might say, well, then be the bigger person. But it's easy for us to bark out that tree until we're the one that has to be the one that says, I'm unhappy with you, and here's why.
But this
He's
goes
just
back-
a repeat offender, right? I mean, last year, we know what happened It's just he's a repeat offender. I would give him the benefit of the doubt if this was the first
because he's a
time.
repeat offender, then do we just brush this off and say it's AJ?
No, because he
Or
won't.
is that not fair?
Well, because we would have brushed
Yeah,
it off
no.
if he didn't send out another tweet last night.
Right. The tweet last night bothers us. All
Right.
of us, right?
Because
of course,
you-
this is like an ESPN pick segment when everybody takes the same team. We all have who bothers us in this scenario, A.J. Brown's picture across the bottom of the screen.
But it's also the fact that, there's a lot of people, Mike and Pete, who have criticized the Eagles at times because they've asked the question, who's the leader in the locker room? And the conversation, Mike, you and I had earlier this week it's Howie Roseman, it's Big Dom, it's Nick Sirianni. But are we lacking a player in the room? Like 2017, famously, Malcolm Jenkins, right, policed the locker room. Who's the guy in the Eagles locker room who isn't afraid to have the confrontation, to go talk to A.J. Brown?
Well, that's one of the issues we perceive on the defensive side of the ball, is that they don't have that guy on defense.
Right.
That can be the unifier of the defensive unit and the offensive unit and bring them together as one.
Like, should Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata,
They would be the perceived guys.
but should those guys be the ones doing it? Should they be taking AJ aside?
I don't think so. I think AJ, if he has an issue with Jalen Hurts, they need to figure it out together.
That's what I'm saying. Then maybe AJ should be going to Big
Well,
Dom.
I
and
think
saying,
what Josh is saying is should Lane get the two of them together and say, guys, as the leader of this football team, and I'm getting to the end of the line in my career, I need you two to sit in this room together, and I'm going to sit here between you until we finish this and figure out what the heck the problem is. That's what
Maybe,
essentially
I
might
mean,
end this thing,
but-
is what you're saying?
AJ and Jalen are supposedly so close, godfather of his kid, yada yada yada. Maybe not anymore.
I think the baby's out with the bathwater on that one.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it goes deeper than football, right?
Yeah, I think that, and listen, this happens where you have a relationship with a friend, and then one guy gets married, the other guy doesn't, and the relationship is no longer the same.
One guy's open, and the other guy doesn't throw him the ball.
That's not fair, though, because he threw him the ball 9 times
He
last
did.
week.
This
This is
where we are,
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. How many times was he absent? 9 times. Wait, what? Yeah, he threw him the ball 9 times last week.
Right.
He was, and, the question is, okay, you got the ball, and you add it up over the last 3 weeks, A.J. Brown has 27 targets over the last 3 weeks.
Right. They're
That's
throwing
not like
him the
he's
ball.
not getting, and I talked about this the other day. Dallas Goedert had four targets on Sunday. He caught all 4 passes. Now, I'm not saying that all 9 targets were catchable footballs, but if you get 9 balls and you're A.J. Brown, I would hope you can come up with 4 or 5 of them.
Well, as part of the conversation, what Dan Orlovsky said this morning on Unsportsmanlike here on 97.3 ESPN, he says this is the problem with the Eagles and their way they utilize A.J. Brown.
AJ's probably asked to run the most basic routes out of any receiver in the NFL. They basically run him in a straight line. He just runs go routes and hitches and occasional slant, so they don't have enough variance in his pass game. And there's a beauty to simplicity at times.
I think a lot of people have insinuated that the route tree is not all that creative for him. I was talking with Mosher yesterday. Look what they did with Mechie. I'm not asking him to run the same plays as Mechie, but they lined Mechie up as a back in the backfield, ran him in front of the quarterback across his eyes and then out into the flat just to get him the ball in some space. How come I can't get some movement from AJ and just not show the other team how predictable we might be? And I talked about this before. You might do something over and over and over again, and you say, keep doing it until the other team proves they can stop you. Well, maybe you've hit the mark where the other team is finally figuring out a way to stop you.
You've hit the mark on Saquon Barkley, that's for sure.
Well, that's a whole other underlining thing, and we played the Chris Long audio yesterday. I think that's a bigger story in this season than the A.J. Brown stuff, in my opinion, because I've always been of the opinion that the star of this football team has been the offensive line. This year, I don't know that the star of the football team is the offensive line, and that could be one of the problems that this team is having in the run game, and then that's because their run game's a problem, it's now infiltrated into the pass game.
This is what Chris Long said. If you didn't hear it yesterday, we played it from the Greenlight podcast.
I know the offensive line's beat up. Lane left the game. Landon Dickerson wasn't healthy when he started the season. When you watch him, I know he's hurting, and I think he's an absolute warrior. But, Steen's not Becton, and I would go as far as saying if this team's going to win with this offensive line, and I'm not calling the offensive line out because I think the tackles are fantastic. I think they got a great guard who's really banged up right now. Yeah. If they win with this group, it would be the most unique run that they've had because this isn't the 23 O-line, it's not the 24 O-line. And I don't even think I know it's not the 17 O-line. So this would be, if they can make this run, pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a pretty eye-opening comment that he's basically saying if they're able to win a Super Bowl with the way this offensive line is currently playing, that would be pretty impressive. And that, to me, that's the eye-opening comment of the day. It's not the unsportsmanlike moment of the day, maybe, but it's the most eye-opening comment of the day. By the way, unsportsmanlike moment of the day coming up in an hour. Apparently, Canty got into it with me this morning, but I wasn't there to defend myself.
Oh, geez.
You weren't, yes. Although I will say, I think Canty is legitimately trying to back off the Sirianni thing. I think
now, let me
he's
ask you this,
starting to
Gil.
realize how irrational he was.
If you have a problem with Canty, are you going to subtweet it, or are you going to go right to Chris Canty and say, let's hash it out?
I had him on the show last year.
I like that.
He was right across from me at Radio Row, and he will be across from me at Radio Row this year.
Yes.
And I will ask him, what's your beef with Sirianni if the Eagles are there again? And
Good for you.
And by the way, the bite that they played this morning when they used my voice this morning, they didn't let me fight back. Michelle Smallman had to take my side and help me out over there.
Although it is funny, we did have a texter who said on the text board that Michelle Smallman shouldn't be the one doing on the Unsportsmanlike just because of the fact that she had a chance to be an Eagles fan. She said no.
Maybe just grab your phone and send out a cryptic tweet. Why not?
Josh is the one that said he heard it. Did you hear it live this morning?
Yes, I was going on my way to my doctor appointment.
Yeah. Yesterday they had my bite on at 6:50 in the morning. And I had a couple people texting me this morning, 8:50, or what time was it? 8:50?
No, it was 9 o'clock. Just
okay.
Boom, start the 9 o'clock hour. Here's Mike Gill's voice. Like, whoa, hey now.
Well, we are efforting Evan Cohen today to see if he can come on later on in the show. So stick around for that as well. When we come back, we've given out 4 straight winners with ChuckWins.com. Chuck Adell will give us another play that you're going to want to listen for for this weekend's NFL games. We got plenty of stuff happening at Chickies and Pete's. Tonight, Game 3, Yankees, Red Sox, and all the other Game 3s, by the way.
NFL?
Thursday Night Football, Rams, Falcons. Great game. By the way, Yankees, Red Sox will be on 97.3 ESPN. Rams, Niners will be on our sister station, Rock 104.1. So make sure you get the Rock 104.1 free mobile app, or if you want to find the football game tonight, it's on Rock 104.1. The baseball will be on 97.3. All that and more. We're just getting started live from Chickies and Pete's on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the same guy who, after the Super Bowl, a couple days later, was like, yeah, that was fun, but it really wasn't all that. Winning the Super Bowl wasn't all that. Whatever, you know, and it's like he'd rather have the journey than have the reward at the end, which is also fine. But it's just like, it just seems like he's going back to the same old each and every time. And look, the Eagles have done a good job of dealing with it. They went on and won the Super Bowl last year. I just hope it doesn't turn into and evolve into what was a couple seasons ago when they started out 10-1 and then they had that collapse. Because I promise you, I don't know what it was. I wasn't in that locker room, but until I go to my grave, I'll swear that something happened in that locker room where there's a divide, and it helped them with that collapse they had.
That's Q Myers from Game Night. You heard that right here on 97.3 ESPN. And what do you know? I have him right here on the Sports Bass Live on 97.3 ESPN. Q Myers, that's his take on the A.J. Brown situation. We were at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago in your hometown, Vegas, and you said something went on in that locker room. I don't know what it was, but there was something. That team was 10-1. And something happened. That's why they weren't in Vegas at the Super Bowl. They did win the Super Bowl last year. So they fixed that problem. Q Myers, welcome back, number one. Number two, do the Eagles have another internal problem brewing?
I think it's brewing. I think brewing is the perfect way to say it. Yes, I think there's definitely a situation going on with A.J. Brown and the dynamic with that offense and Jalen Hurts and trying to get him involved in the offense more and get him the ball more and get more touches. But look, it's so funny, Mike, because it feels like it's a fine line. I want guys to want to be involved, right? I do. I don't want to have to push guys. I always say that. I don't want you to have to, be pushed all the time by me to be better. Like, hey, I need you to want to be active. Like, I like that. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, there's a fine line and this team is winning. They're 4-0. Are they a perfect 4-0 as far as do they have some issues? Yeah, there's still some things that they need to clean up. It hasn't been perfect looking, hasn't been pleasing on the eyes for every step of the way, but they're winning games. And so as long as they can continue to evolve while they're winning games, they should be in a good place, knowing that what they're working for, the end goal, which is they've already been there, done that. I feel like this situation is going to continue to brew. And, A.J. Brown's talking about, I don't even say anything on the sidelines. I'm really quiet. Yeah, because most times you're pouting. Right. And so that's going to at some point become an issue because now instead of talking about the Eagles being 4-0, we're talking about, is there an A.J. Brown situation? Is there a potential problem in the locker room brewing? That's not what we should be talking about going into week 5.
You mentioned it, and I talked about it on the show yesterday, is that he was unfulfilled by winning that Super Bowl. And you're thinking to yourself, if that's not fulfilling to you to win and accomplish a team goal, what will fulfill you? And it makes it sound as if you rather have more stats than win the game. And I don't know that that's AJ because he's constantly been on a team where he has, when he was in Tennessee, he wasn't like an 1,800-yard receiver there either. He has generally been a pretty good soldier except these little one-offs here and there. And that's what's interesting about this. It's almost like winning the Super Bowl was unfulfilling. But the word that Sirianni used is he wants to contribute. He wants to contribute to the wins because what AJ said in a podcast was he loves the grind. And he feels like if I'm grinding all week long, I want the payoff at the end.
Right. That's the key, right? I mean, these guys, they work their tails off all week long to get to the game. The game is fun. All week long is the practice, is the grind, is the, is the sweat, blood, and tears. Everything that you do on game day, that's the reward at the end of the day. So, yeah, I get it. He's saying that he wants to be involved. He wants to contribute, and he's going to, and he has. And again, it's the ultimate team game. So the team is 4-0. He wants more. And, again, I know I'm here in Las Vegas. There was a time when Devontae Adams was part of the Raiders, and he would explain it as well. And he would say, yeah, I want to be contributing as much as possible. And if we're not winning, I want to really be involved because I think that I can help this team win. The difference is,
which is what AJ said yesterday, AJ said. Yeah.
Right. But the Raiders weren't winning. The Eagles are. Right. And so, okay, it's like, yeah, you might not be getting as much of the bulk of the shots and targets that you necessarily want, but your team is winning. Now, if they weren't winning and you weren't getting enough targets, okay, then there's a conversation there. Hey, let's put it on my back. I'll get it done. Well, we can make this work. So it's you know what I mean? It's like it's a fine line. And I know he wants to be more heavily involved. I could appreciate that. But at the same time, you're winning games. So you know how they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Q Myers game night, weeknights at 10 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Does that make AJ a malcontent, a distraction, or just like every other wide receiver, you just got to deal?
Yeah, I think it's just you got to deal with it. I mean, look, I don't think he's a bad guy at all. I think that
No, he's a very good guy. That's why I think there's a fine line here.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so that's why when I listen to what he has to say, I don't want to go too hard in on him, right? Again, and like he said, hey, I can help this team out if we're struggling. Look to me, I'll be that guy, and that's great. I can appreciate that, but when the game is over and you just won it, there's no reason to go to social media and start putting some cryptic little messages out, and because then that all of a sudden makes it look like you're not satisfied with the victory. And look, there's going to be a time, sometime, I don't know what week it's going to be. There's going to be a week or weeks that A.J. Brown's going to be relied on heavily. Right, there's going to be a week where Saquon Barkley is not going to be cooking, Devontae Smith's not going to be cooking, and it's going to be the A.J. Brown show, and then you'll get all the targets you want and then some. Trust and believe.
That's the thing, Q.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
In week 2 against the Chiefs, he had 8 targets.
Right.
They won, but did not have a good game statistically.
Right.
In week 3 against the Rams, he had 10 targets, and he had a big game, over 100 yards and a touchdown. Last week, he had 9 targets. This isn't a target problem.
Yeah.
This isn't hey, AJ, you're just not in the game plan. He has been in the target tree. It's just, for whatever reason, is that the bigger problem? That it's, why do you get 9 targets and you're not getting anything with them?
Right. No, that's definitely a part of the scenario, right? It's just, I guess with everyone talking about the Eagles offense, and, Drew Brees is coming out saying that it's not, it's not fun to watch. And I feel like it's just everyone's getting caught up in the moment. I don't know, man. Winning is fun. To me, winning is fun.
Amen.
And right now, the Eagles should be having tons of fun. They're one of 2 teams in the league remaining that are undefeated. Right?
I agree with that. And it's funny because we got people here now judging, hey, you're 4-0, it's fun. But at some point, if you're not entertaining, people are going to start bailing on you. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like,
right.
Hey, they can win 3-0 every single week. If the W's at the end filling up, that's what it comes down to for me. I know some fans want to be entertained. They would be probably more casual than me. I do want to ask you this. We were going to have you on yesterday, but our time was, hey, you know what? Let's wait till after AJ talks so I can get your reaction on how he handled it and what he said. What he said seemingly is, it was just me being me. I'm sorry. Did he diffuse it enough for you?
I mean, I think he made it make sense, right? And again, I give A.J. Brown the benefit of the doubt because I think he's a really good dude, and I think that he has the best intentions. I don't think he's a Antonio Brown type guy. I don't think he's a Terrell Owens type guy. I don't put A.J. Brown in that same category, but I do understand that he just wants more. He's hungrier for more and is not, necessarily satisfied with how it's looked so far through the first 4 weeks. The way he explained it and the way that he embraced the conversation about it, I could appreciate, right? And tried to make it make sense to, this is why I get frustrated. And oh, by the way, frustrations is part of the passion of the game, right? And so I could totally understand where he's coming from. Like I said, I don't think that it's a problem right now. And like I said on game night last night, I just don't want it to evolve into a problem later on. It's early in the season. I don't want it to get to week 10, week 11, and we see A.J. Brown not reading a book on the sideline, but instead writing a book on the sideline. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see it get to another level because I think this team has an opportunity to be really special, but you're going to need all those guys to be on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, he puts out this Bible passage, and it's basically insinuating that there's been a lot of, well, who's the tweet intended for? No, he said yesterday, it wasn't intended for anyone. Are we supposed to believe that with the passage that he picked?
No, I don't buy that at all.
Q Myers, who do you believe he's not happy with? I was going to say infuriated, but that's not the right word.
I feel like it's always going to go back to Jalen Hurts. I feel like that there's something there. I've always felt like that there's something there where they're just not on the same page, right? They're not on the same page with the same goals and plan. I think Jalen Hurts is fine if he throws for 100 yards a game and they win. I think he's okay with that. Just like Chris Jones chalked all that mess to him when they were doing that final kneel down against the Chiefs. He didn't even throw for 100 yards. We win. Shut up, right? And I'm paraphrasing. I can't say all these words on this fine program that we have here. But, it's just like, who cares? I think Jalen Hurts is the ultimate I just want to win the game. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it sounds like. I don't care, if you think I'm an elite quarterback or not. And I think A.J. Brown wants to not only win the games, but I think he wants to be the best of the best. And I think he wants to have all the numbers. And I think he wants to, hear everyone say that, oh, man, the reason the Eagles won this game was because A.J. Brown carried the team on his shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that they have two different paths to getting to the same place. And they're just two different dudes.
Q Myers, of course, game night right here on 97.3 ESPN weeknights at 10. You know this Broncos team well. They play your Raiders in that division out there. There's a team that made the playoffs last year. They're going to come to Philly right now coming off of a nice, impressive win against a Bengals team that really looks disheveled at this point. Is this the week? Is this the perfect time for Denver to come across the country and do something that, some people probably wouldn't expect, to beat Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough one, man. Denver's got a really good defense, right? And I think that, as much as we've been talking about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, I think they're going to get tested a lot in this game. I really do. Denver's defense is really good, and they improved it in the offseason. So that's why so many people expected them to give the Chiefs a run for their money in the AFC West, because they do have that much improved defense. Now, on the flip side of things, where's Bo Nix at? He hasn't necessarily been lighting it up. So, and I know he had a successful game against the Bengals, but, I think that me and you could have had a successful game against Cincinnati. They're just not
They are bad, my man. They are bad.
Yes. Look, the Broncos ran 80 plays on Monday Night Football. 80, right? Bo Nix threw the ball 42 times. I'm like, wait, you're beating the brakes off of the Bengals. Why are you throwing the ball so much? And I went back and looked. They ran it 38. So, it was as balanced as it could be. They ran 80 plays. Right, so they're looking like a well-oiled machine. Sean Payton's got that thing cooking pretty well. Their running game looks really good. I think this is going to be a tough one. If Philly's going to lose a game, I can see it being this one. It all depends on how Bo Nix plays. I think the defenses can match up fairly well, but how is Bo Nix going to play? Is he going to be able to step up to the challenge? That's going to be the deciding factor in this one.
Yeah, this one's a tough one because they do play good defense. And I'll tell you one thing about Denver, that gets lost in the sauce for them is they got a good offensive line, too. They'll give the Eagles, whose defense has kind of carried them. A lot of times the Eagles' defense carries them because, number one, they're good, but number two, a lot of offensive lines in this league aren't very good. This is a good offensive line, and we'll see if the Eagles, whose pass rush is a little questionable at times.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. It really is. Denver, I got a lot of respect for them, and they've put it together the right way. Sean Payton came in and put his thumbprint on this organization, and, obviously moving on from Russell Wilson and all that dead money that they had, they overcame that. And all of a sudden they make the playoffs last year, and they feel like a team that has a chance. And look, to be honest, they lost a couple of tough games, right? A couple of games where they lose on a leverage call, on a field goal, a block attempt, and then the Colts beat them, and then they lose on another walk-off field goal. So this is a team that potentially could have no losses. They just lost those couple games at the end. So they're a really good, tough out. I think this will be a huge test for Philadelphia.
All right. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. The pregame coverage starts at noon. The kickoff at 1 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick have the call. Last thing, you take a look at tonight, Rams and Niners. These are two teams, both 3-1. By the way, this game will be on our sister station tonight, Rock 104.1. Thursday Night Football. We'll have the Red Sox and Yankees Game 3 on 97.3 ESPN. But let's look at the Rams and Niners because these two teams here, the Eagles have already beaten the Rams, but are they two competitors in the NFC? The winner of this game feels like they're right there with Philadelphia, specifically the Rams.
Yeah, I'm with you with the Rams. The Niners I have questions about because of health.
Bagged up.
Right? Brock Purdy's not even playing, right? And Ricky Pearsall's
might be better for them,
playing.
though.
Right. That's the thing, Mike. Is that going to end up becoming a storyline this season?
I think so. I think it's going to, we know that Shanahan had a little infatuation with Mac Jones.
There you
Jones
go.
has now played better. The hard part is I got the guy I really like, but I paid the guy that I was just kind of
okay with.
Yep. And that's a problem.
Yes, and that's what I said on game night last night. I was saying, man, if Brock Purdy's not out there and Mac Jones has success and keeps winning, does there become a problem? Does there become a situation? And I'm not trying to stir it up. I'm not trying to be the guy that's hot take guy or whatever. I'm not trying to be that guy. But Mac Jones was the guy that Kyle Shanahan was looking at. Now, he put a ring on someone else's finger, but the one that got away was Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is there now.
Yeah.
So how do they work this out? Yeah.
You're right, man. I think that's a story. Q Myers, of course, 10 o'clock weeknights, game night right here on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, tonight, the Thursday night football game. You can listen to that game on our sister station, Rock 104.1. All you baseball fans, we got game 3 tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. That coverage starts at 7:30. And then, of course, game night will be following that game. Yankees and Sox, the baseball playoffs have been great, by the way. The basketball started. The Sixers over in Abu Dhabi this morning.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a noon tip. They play at 11 a.m. on Saturday, so we're all merging. Basketball, baseball, the hockey's underway, the basketball's here, the college football's here. It's a great time to be a sports fan. Q Myers, always enjoy catching up with you, my man.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, man. And then Phillies-Dodgers, right? That's going to get going, too. Let's do it.
Ohtani Sanchez on Saturday, game 1. And you can listen to that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Good plug by you.
Hey, that's what I do, man.
All right,
Appreciate
take care, man. Q Myers, everybody, here from Game Night. You can listen to that weeknights at 10 on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, we got so much more to go here on the Sports Bash. We are live at the home of where the Philadelphia Eagle players go, Chickies and Pete's at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Stick around. More Sports Bash coming up, including our unsportsmanlike moment of the day and football at 4. All wrapped up today on the Sports Bash.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
All right, you're home for Red October. It's 97.3 ESPN, the Sports Bash live at Chickies and Pete's. It is where the players go. Right here at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. Go where the players go and watch the Eagles-Broncos at one of the only official Eagles sports bars, Chickies and Pete's. Go to chickiesandpete's.com for details. I was just talking to one of the bartenders over there about Saturday. You got Phillies on Saturday, 6 o'clock or 6:30. Then you've got Penn State at 7:30. You've got games all day, of course. Then you got the Eagles the next day at 1 o'clock. So you're going to have people, like, waking up, feeling a little shoddy from the day before. And if the Phillies get shut out or no hit or something crazy like that, you might want to get up a little early for that Eagle game and just try to, hope it goes away. But you might get the double whammy. This Broncos team's pretty good.
This Phillies run, man, it's going to take a lot out of me. It's really going to be every pitch, every at-bat. It's just going to take a lot emotionally.
Been waiting all year for it, though.
Been waiting all summer for this thing.
And now it's here.
And now
you're like, it's here, and I don't like the opponent. Damn it! Can I spin the wheel again?
Yes. And the problem is, I like these players on the Dodgers, like Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. These are all good guys, right?
Yeah, it's not a bunch of jerks.
I mean it's hard to hate them, right?
But, hey, listen, this Dodger team won the World Series last year. And this is where the regular season just really, we get fired up all the time, and I love it. I love the passion that people bring, and everybody, they do this, and they manage this, they take this guy out and this. And the Dodgers won the World Series last year. They ended up being the wild card team this year, and they just, sleepwalk through the regular season. People think Dave Roberts is the worst of the worst. He just, pulls these guys out at the weirdest spots. And it's just because he's like, I don't need you to the playoffs. Be you in the playoffs. And now you see this Dodger team, and they look like a well-oiled machine. They look like a team that just kind of was like, hey, we know we're better than you, right? We know we're damn good. We know we're pretty good. And everybody now is starting to be like, you see the Philly fans kind of being like, this team's pretty good. We do have the poll question up at Mike Gill Show. You can vote right there. Let us know, who do you think? NLDS, who you got? Phils, Dodgers. Right now it's 60-40. Who do you think?
60-40, Phillies.
60% of our listeners following me at Mike Gill Show think the Phillies will win the series. 40% think Dodgers. You can keep voting. We'll reveal the winner of the poll coming up later on in the show right here on the Sports Bash. All right, Josh, we got a couple. Q Myers was a good guess, good takeaways from him, and I know we got some reaction on the text board.
Yeah, we got UPS Jeff says, what Q Myers was trying to say is that AJ wants to pad his ego and Jalen doesn't care. Jalen wants to just win.
Is this whole thing making us like Jalen more? I mean, is that essentially like, hey, Jalen should deserves credit for all this, the way he's handling this?
I mean, listen, I have A.J. Brown on my fantasy team. Am I mad?
That's all you care about.
No. Let me finish. Am I mad that he's not getting the ball? Sure. But am I happy that the Eagles are 4-0? Of course.
But the way that UPS Jeff made it out was like, Jalen doesn't seem to have a problem, and his numbers aren't all that great.
Well, it's kind of in line with David and Violent says. He says, Q Myers made a good point. You'll hear Jalen Hurts or anyone else complaining. I can't imagine that creates anything positive in a locker room among teammates who are all making sacrifices, but one guy is the only one complaining. When was the last time we heard any other players not named A.J. Brown complain on this team, says David and Violent?
Well, it's generally wide receivers on all teams because they're the one that you have to manufacture a way to get them the ball. Unless it's a running back who's not getting enough carries because somebody – would have to then not call your number. You have to hand it to him. That's easy to do, as opposed to actually you have to be open and then the pass has to be completed. Like in terms of I have to throw it in your area code that you can catch it. So that's why these wide receivers generally are the malcontents.
Cole from LBI chimes in. He says, I think AJ's messaging has something to do with Hurts. It's not the off the field relationship as much as it is but the off-the-field relationship feels broken, says Cole in LBI. He says the problem on the field is the passing game is too simple. He says, I think AJ is trying to voice frustration without blaming Hurts and totally blowing up team chemistry, says Cole in LBI.
You know, the simplistic nature of the pass game has worked for them. Like, this is a team that won a world championship. They got to one a couple of years ago. You know, so all the problems that we perceive in the offense with this team, they've been underlining issues for this team throughout this process.
Yeah.
Right?
And A.J. Brown, last year, what's the problem with the offense? Passing. I mean, that's all you need to know.
It was a one-word answer. It was pretty simple. But even with that, they won the Super Bowl. And that is like the pushback on all of this stuff. Well, in 2022, you went to the Super Bowl. Well, you didn't win the Super Bowl. You went to the Super Bowl. They were a pretty freaking good team in 2022 to get to the Super Bowl and go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. It's not like they stunk. They were in the Super Bowl and literally were like a fumble, Jalen Hurts fumbling that ball away from winning that thing. And then they go 10-1 to start the next year. And the downfall really wasn't that their offense stunk. It was that their defense was so bad,
right,
and that their offense was just like mediocre to good. It just wasn't good enough to keep up with how bad their defense was.
Exactly.
And then last year they won the Super Bowl. So they have 3 years. Really go back to 2022 when they made the playoffs with that team that went 9-8. They had 4 years now where their offense has been pretty much the same, and they've had nothing but success. 9 wins the 1 year when they started 2-5. They switched to this offense. So, I don't know. We'll dive into it. We'll keep it going. Football at 4 coming up with Andrew DiCecco in the 4 o'clock hour. And then, of course, 5 o'clock tonight. One thought, every game with KC Joyner from The Athletic. But right now, Jeff Nadu's back. It's time for the BMOC. The big man on campus is here. He's got the college plays of the week for us all right now on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, what's up, dude?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
We're doing well, man. We're looking forward to another good weekend of college football. We got the Penn State, UCLA this weekend. 7:30 is kind of the big game here locally. I don't know if the Penn State fans have bailed on them yet after last week, but that obviously is the big game here. But let's start with one of your favorite plays of the weekend here. Let's start off with my alma mater, who sucks right now. West Virginia, Friday night football. You can listen to that game, people, right here on 97.3 ESPN. It's a 10:30 kick time against BYU. 18.5, BYU a favorite. West Virginia hasn't been able to get out of its own way. Quarterback transferring, all sorts of problems. This feels like a messy night for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I think that BYU is one of the better plays on the board this weekend if you're looking to lay a price. I think this might even be a little too low. You look at kind of what BYU's done at home, Mike, this year. They've won every game by 20 or more points, and this is the kind of opponent that they've dominated. BYU is one of the best defenses in America. They're allowing under 3 yards a carry, so running the football against them is very difficult. Couple that with what you talked about. The quarterback, Martial, got injured and then transferred. Last week against Utah, they completed just 6 passes between 2 quarterbacks. Only had about 85 yards, I believe, passing the ball. Running the ball, as I said, is going to be very difficult. Throw in the fact that you're a maligned team off a couple of blowouts. Now you got to go out to Provo, Utah, which, you know, when you're in the Big 12, that's one of the toughest travel spots, going out playing in elevation. I think this is a game where BYU's defense dominates. On offense, they've actually looked pretty good. They have a quarterback, Bear Buckmeyer. He's not turned the ball over yet this year. Good dual-threat quarterback off a game where he had over 100 rushing yards. Looked good through the air. Doesn't make mistakes. Kind of a game manager. Moves the ball. They're not going to have to do, I think, a whole lot offensively here just because I don't think West Virginia is going to do much of anything. I think this is like a 31-7, 34-10 type of game. I laid the number here with BYU.
I like that play, Jeff. That's Friday night. So if you want a Friday night little action there before the weekend, BYU, West Virginia. And you can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. Well, the government might be shut down, but the football is still being played Air Force and Navy. There was some thought that they might not be able to play the Air Force, Army, and Navy because of the shutdowns here. But they are playing, and they're playing against each other. We know you like the military academies here, but now they're matching up against each other. Air Force taking on Navy in Annapolis, and right now you got Navy favored 12.5. They are unbeaten this season against an Air Force team. And by the way, Chuck in Margate, who the Air Force guy, I heard the shout out from you last week, and he said, hey, tell your boy Jeff, thanks for the shout out. So another shout out for Air Force, for Chuck, but they're playing Navy. Tough spot for them.
Yeah, so I liked Air Force last week, Mike, against Hawaii, and I got them right on offense. They just couldn't get any stops on defense, and that's one of the reasons in this game I like the over. I think a lot of talking heads will tell you that you have to bet unders when military schools play. And look, these two teams like to run the football, but they're much better passing the ball than we give them credit for. You look at Navy, they're going to throw the ball about 10 times a game, but when they throw it, I mean, you're getting 15, 20, 25 yards a clip. When Navy gets to the red zone, Mike, they're one of the best teams in the country at scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Throw in, they keep drives moving. Number one in America in third down conversion rate. Air Force can't stop a thing, Mike. They are dreadful through the air. They are dreadful against the run. The good thing and why they're undefeated going over this year is they got a good quarterback. Liam Zarka can move the ball. They're going to throw the ball about 20 times a game. He's a dual threat option. Navy can't stop the pass. So I'd expect they throw the ball even a little bit more frequent than they already do. This number's been solidly bet up. It opened 49. It's been all the way bet up to 52, 52.5. There's still some 51.5s out there. I think this game's first to 30 wins. I think it's a fun back and forth game. You look at last year, Navy scored 34. Air Force just didn't do anything. With their offense much better this year, I think this is a high-scoring game.
Yeah, last week Air Force gave up, I believe, 44 to Hawaii in that late-night battle.
And Mike,
I agree. Yep.
Mike, look at how many quick touchdowns there were in that game. Every time that I looked at the score,
nuts.
Yeah, Hawaii had 535 total yards. There were multiple big plays, a 73-yard touchdown, a 74-yard touchdown. I would expect we see some more here. These two teams are going to get up and go, and I think score plenty.
All right, Jeff Nadu, at Jeff Nadu, his favorite college plays of the week. Let's go to Kentucky, Georgia. Georgia is favored 20.5 in the game. This is a noon game. Kentucky is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 against Georgia, and they have covered 6 straight games, against ranked opponents. So it feels like a Kentucky cover in this spot. What say you?
Yeah, and you look at how they're going to do it, Mike. They're going to have to do it on defense, and they are good on defense. That's one, I think, hallmark that Stoops has. They're a good defensive team. Quarterback play, like West Virginia, is bad. They just don't have a ton at quarterback right now. Good luck trying to run the ball against Georgia. Always one of the better run defenses in the country. You highlighted how good they've kind of been against the spread, but I also look at just how low scoring these games are when these two teams play. I mean, I just want to highlight the last 5 or 6, 13-12, 16-6, 30-13, 14-3, 21-0. And then there was one 51-13. But outside of that, I mean, every game these teams play is low scoring. Two good defensive teams, two teams that play pretty slow. Kentucky has poor quarterback play. I like the under, Mike. I played under 48.5. I thought, I was hoping to get a little bit better number. I would also probably lean Georgia here. I just don't think this Kentucky team has that underdog magic this year. They've had much better quarterback play in years past. I mean, they had guys like Will Levis there and better run games. They just don't have that this year. This is a bad position right now for Kentucky to be in. I think their coach is kind of a walking L right now. I could see them moving off from him. I think the best play here would be under the total. I don't play a lot of unders, but I like this one.
All right, let's look at what was the story of last year's college football season, really, was when Vanderbilt shocked Alabama. Now, Alabama got off to a slow start. People thought that DeBoer should have been fired. Now, they've come back around. They're top 10 in the country. They're a 10.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt, who is ranked. This isn't a Vanderbilt low-level Vanderbilt team. This is a good team, 6-0 against the spread as a road dog since 2024. So this is not, the same Vanderbilt team that people probably have won money betting against for the last couple of years. But can they really keep up with Alabama for 2 straight seasons?
Yeah, Vanderbilt's really good, as you said. I mean, they beat Alabama last year. Dago Pavia was terrific. High-scoring game, 40-35. This year, I think Alabama kind of gets right. They're starting to really kind of figure things out on multiple levels. Had a nice win last week at Georgia. Ty Simpson's throwing the ball all over the place. And this is a Vandy team that I like circling. I like finding teams that have really played no quality offense, and then they play a really good offense. I think Vandy's going to give up 40+ here. I actually laid the number, and I actually like the over as well. I think Vandy could score in the 20s, but something tells me this is like a 41-24 type of game. I think Alabama will be ready for Pavia this time around. Remember as well, that game last year was on the road for Bama. They get it at home this year. Vandy has really struggled defensively. He gave up 35 last week to Utah State. Georgia State moved the ball against them. Virginia Tech moved the ball against them. So I think they're going to give up a 40 spot here. Like I said, I think it's like a 41-24 type of game. I think 10.5 is a little too low here.
All right. There is one game tonight, by the way, for the people out there. It's not a great game. It's Sam Houston, New Mexico. But before we move on, this feels like a Jeff Nadu type of game.
Well, yeah, I think the wrong team's probably favored here. But
Sam Houston, by the way, is the road team is the favored. Sam Houston by 1.5 points.
Yeah, 0-4. But Sam Houston's played a pretty tough schedule. This is a game that is very winnable for the Bearcats. Mexico State, Mike, you probably don't know, they actually throw the ball more than virtually anyone in America. They have a good passing attack, and Sam Houston is the second worst pass defense in the country. Problem is, I don't think New Mexico State's much better defensively either. This game has been kind of a weird one the last couple of years. I think the wrong team's favored here personally. I didn't bet it. I don't think you're going to make a lot of money betting on these types of teams, but Sam Houston just does nothing for me. Throw in the fact that I'm getting points with a home dog. So I would lean with New Mexico State, but I didn't play it.
All right, before we rock and roll, there's some college games for you. It is BYU minus 18.5 Friday night. Air Force Navy, the over 52.5. Kentucky, Georgia, under 48.5. And then Bama over Vanderbilt. And if you want to throw the over in there, you could do that too, says Jeff Nadu. You also like an NFL game this weekend. Actually, it's a Sunday nighter, the Patriots and Bills.
Yeah, I like these Sunday night games. There's been some good ones. I had the over last week in that tie game, which, I don't understand how we have a multi-billion-dollar league and you have a game ending in ties. Just, what is this, soccer? What are we doing here? I like the over in this game as well. Buffalo is an over machine, great offense. I don't really think they're very good on defense. Got a great red zone touchdown percentage. New England's actually been pretty solid on offense this year as well. They're starting to really kind of look up. They have a little bit better offensive line this year, some more weapons. You look at what they did the other day against Carolina. They just kind of did whatever they wanted. Diggs looked good. He gets to play his old team here. Just kind of an interesting AFC East matchup. Totals, I think, a little too low here. I think we see some big plays out of New England against a defense that I'm just not a real big fan of. Buffalo, one of the best offenses in the NFL. 49, a little too low. I like the over here.
All right, there you go. That's an NFL pick for you from Jeff Nadu. At Jeff Nadu, you can get all of his betting content over there. And, of course, Thursdays right here, we gave you his 4 favorite college plays of this weekend, starting with the game on Friday night, West Virginia and BYU. And you can hear that game on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, for the Penn State people that want to hear that game, that will be on our sister station, Rock 104.1 at 7:30. We'll have the Phillies and the Dodgers on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Jeff, enjoy all the games this weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
All right, there he is, Jeff Nadu, everybody. BMOC, big man on campus, giving you the plays right there on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. He's right on West Virginia, I can tell you that. 18.5, too low of a number there. Too low of a number. That team, it's a mess right now. Now I know Rich Rod's back. I got to tell you, though, once he left, he went to Michigan, and he was in Arizona, and Jacksonville State. It's not like he really had a ton of success, especially at Michigan and Arizona. They brought him back and pumped up the fan base a little bit, but, man, this is getting ugly. That was ugly last 2 weeks have been ugly. They lost to Kansas and Utah. This BYU team's pretty good, too. By the way, they got ALCS Game 3 on right now here at Chickies and Pete's. It's a 0-0 game 3. We'll keep you up to date on that. When we come back, it is the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Let's hear what the guys had to say this morning on Unsportsmanlike right here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll react to it coming up next. Don't go away.
You said Nick Sirianni is better than all of them?
I'm not saying he's a better coach than Andy Reid. He's been better for the Eagles. No, you're damn right I'm saying that. He is better for the Eagles than Andy Reid was. He's better for the Eagles than Andy Reid was. That's right. Buddy, bro, whatever you want to call me, Nick Sirianni has produced more results for the Philadelphia Eagles than Andy Reid.
That's Evan Cohen. That's Chris Canty. That's the Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day, brought to you by White Horse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone. White Horse RV, your RV adventure starts here. Yes, Evan Cohen is correct. He has accomplished Nick Sirianni more than Andy Reid has. He has a Super Bowl championship. He's also been to a Super Bowl, which Andy did one time, and Andy needs a handshake for that. But Andy here put the team – he was like the coach, like when Dungy was in Tampa Bay, and then when he left, and then Gruden came and finished the deal there. Andy got the team to a certain spot, and then Doug finished it off, right? He finished what Andy couldn't get done. Now you have Nick Sirianni, who was basically Andy before, Andy was an unknown guy, took over a franchise. And that's where I think Canty's having this disconnect. Andy Reid was once Nick Sirianni. He was an unknown quarterback coach in Green Bay. Nobody knew who he was when the Eagles hired him. Nobody did. And they took the chance on an unknown guy, and he became Andy Reid. And right now, you're seeing it happen again. The Eagles, as Canty said on Unsportsmanlike, give credit to Howie Roseman. He's been there 25 years. He's the guy who keeps finding these coaches that you don't want to give credit to. You want to give credit to Andy Reid. He was once the unknown guy. And now the unknown guy, that's Nick Sirianni. And Evan Cohen is right. He has accomplished more in Philly than Andy Reid did. And Andy accomplished a lot here. He just didn't accomplish what Nick has been able to accomplish, which is a Super Bowl championship.
In all fairness to Canty, I will play the part where he goes out of his way this morning on 97.3 ESPN to say that this is the one thing, Mike, that we need to give Sirianni credit for. He says,
I can't wait to hear this.
Do you like the head coach of the Eagles?
Well, listen, I think he does a good job of not getting in the way.
Do you like the head coach of the Eagles?
I just said I think he does a good job of not getting in the way. That is complimentary.
In the way of what? Winning 20 of their last 21?
How many times do we talk about head coaches overcooking it? We think Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. He ain't always done a good job of not getting in the way. So credit to Nick Sirianni. That is a skill. Sometimes people get in their own heads. They overthink it. Not just players, but coaches alike.
Is that a skill, Mike Gill?
Well, it is a skill, but it's not a skill that puts you on a level enough to win a Super Bowl, right? You've got to have some microcosm of elite ability to be able to win a Super Bowl. You just don't put some ass clown in there to win a Super Bowl, and that's what Canty makes him out like he's a carnival barker, right? You can't have an idiot at that position and expect to win a Super Bowl. Not today's world, not today's day and age. This isn't like Barry Switzer walking into the Cowboys back in the day. Back then it was different. You now have to have culture. You have to have locker room harmony. You have to have the right mindset every day when you show up to work. And the Eagles have the right mindset every day. Now, do they have little blips on the radar with A.J. Brown? Sure, they had that last year too. And as Michelle Smallman pointed out, they had this last year, and they had the right leadership to get through it. So it's not about just getting out of the way. It is, he's saying it in a disrespectful way, just stay out of the way.
Well,
what he's doing, what Nick is doing is he's being a leader. And what a leader does is trust the guys that he put in place to handle the defense. He's not middling into Vic Fangio because he trusts Vic Fangio. And hopefully he doesn't do the same to Kevin Patullo.
Well, if Kevin Patullo turns out to be a failure, I don't think we can have Nick Sirianni pick offensive coordinators anymore.
No, we can't. But I will say that Canty was asked by Michelle. For those who didn't hear the segment, Michelle kept needling him and needling him and needling him. So Canty kind of got forced, Mike, into this explanation, this expository about Nick Sirianni. And you tell me, is this a little more respectful from Chris Canty?
The hardest thing for a coach to do is get players to do what they don't want to do in order for them to become what they want to become. And it's a tough sell, an even tougher sell, to tell a guy, yeah, your numbers ain't going to look right, Evan Cohen, but we going to win a lot of games, and we probably going to hold up the Lombardi at the end of the season.
Which is what happened.
You ain't going to lead the league in catches and yards.
With AJ.
We going to be toward the bottom of the league in terms of overall passing numbers. But guess what? At the end of the season, you might have a ring on your finger. Getting him to buy into that is a hard thing to do. And I will give Nick Sirianni full credit for that. A.J. Brown deserves credit too, because he's the one that's got to go out there and do it. He's got to accept that role. But I give Nick Sirianni credit for that. That's hard.
It's hard for him to give him credit is what's the hard part. No, it is hard to get people to buy in. He is right about that. But what I think the disconnect is in the world that we live in today with the coaches. We used to envision the coach being some X and O, genius, the greats, right? Like Bill Walsh came up with this great offense, or Bill Belichick came up with this great defense. Nick Sirianni essentially is not credited for coming up with anything, but what he is coming up with is a culture, and that is now the way that the Eagles are winning, is behind the way that he has everybody doing what Canty just said, buying in. And you know what? It's not easy to get professionals to buy in when they think that they can do more. And that's part of the reason why A.J. Brown is starting to come out a little bit, because he thinks he can do more. And Nick has had him buying in that, hey, I don't need you to do more for us to be great. Just keep doing what you're doing. But you can only get that message across for so long. But he was able to get that message across long enough to win a Super Bowl, making Evan Cohen correct today on our unsportsmanlike moment of the day.
Now, if AJ does not continue to buy in, then we have a different story.
Possibly, but they already won the Super Bowl with him buying in. Thanks to White Horse RV. That is our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It is brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Of course, we are there every Monday. Today, we are at the great Chickies and Pete's at the Tropicana. They've got Thursday Night Football tonight on the TVs. And, of course, you can watch Game 3 of the Yankees and the Red Sox here at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. Andrew DiCecco is here today for today's edition of Football at 4. A lot happening with the Philadelphia Eagles as they get ready for a very interesting opponent, the Denver Broncos. We're going to break them down. We're going to break it down right now with Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com and the Inside the Birds podcast. Eagles lead the all-time series 9-5 is their record, and they have won the last 2 meetings. They are favored by 3.5. A third straight win would be the longest win streak in this matchup between the Eagles and the Broncos. But this is a sneaky good Broncos team, Andrew DiCecco. They play good defense. They have a really good offensive line, and they're coming off a very impressive Monday night win over the Bengals.
Yep, there's no doubt about it. And when the schedule came out, I sort of circled Week 5 as a game to keep an eye on that could be sneaky, entertaining, and meaningful for a couple of different reasons. And the first being that this is really where I believe you are going to get a better sense of what the Eagles' identity is and what I'm expecting to be a nice measuring stick.
Let's see all the lead up to this game. We'll talk more about the matchup here in just a second, but obviously you're in that locker room. You're covering everything that's going on. Is all this A.J. Brown stuff done? Is it peace and harmony, or does this carry over throughout the season?
Yeah, I don't usually like getting into this, but yeah, I guess it's for now. They put a pin in it. AJ, I thought, was really accountable when he spoke at his locker and took ownership of what he said. And he mentioned also, and it really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, that he knows the impact that he can make when he's involved offensively, especially when they're struggling. He said, "I want the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on me because that's what I work for. I want that pressure." And so I think it's going to be kind of an ebbs and flows thing with this offense. They're not going to force feed them, but they do need to get the passing game going, make no mistake about it, and they need to get A.J. Brown involved way earlier. He's an elite player at the position, and needless to say, he can make a monumental impact on a game, even on a short completion where he can shed tacklers and turn it into a 45, 50-yard pickup. So that's really all I have to say on that.
All right, well, and his opening statement said, look, I want to say, obviously, after the game, I let my frustrations boil over. I want to get your perspective on the football thing here, because he did get 9 targets last week. He had 10 the week before. He had 8 the week before that. Why in the game with 8 and 9 are the numbers not there? And the week with 10, yeah, he had 100 yards. What are we seeing from the passing game that he is getting targets, but they are not fulfilling targets?
Well, you got to look at the quality of the targets. I mean, you look at two or three of the targets in the Tampa Bay game, 2 of which sailed out of bounds, and there was another that was a shorter completion that was nearly picked off, and one that was a little bit wide. So, I mean, it's a culmination of things. You could look at the route concepts. I thought I was going to see more in breakers against that defense than I saw on Sunday. You can look at overall execution. Jalen Hurts getting the ball out faster, the offensive line not necessarily holding up as we've grown accustomed to them seeing, especially from the interior. So I think it's just a culmination of things as to why they're not able to get him on the same page. But I think early in games, they've gone away from that, and they're trying to really hang their hat on this running game that's struggling to take shape. And then when the running game's not going and things aren't falling into their favor, that's where they have to take to the air. And teams they're sort of sitting on that and squatting on things because they know that they can't run the football effectively right now. And that's where you see them put a little bit more stress on the passing game. And I also don't agree with the sentiment that, players aren't getting open. You could point to a small handful of times in any NFL game where a player isn't able to uncover. But what is uncovering in the NFL? The windows are so small that you have to be able to pounce and take advantage of it. So they have to get better. There's no doubt about it.
Andrew DiCecco, Football at 4 at Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. They're not running the ball very well, Andrew. Lane Johnson has been in and out. Tyler Steen replacing Mekhi Becton. And then you go over to Landon Dickerson. He might be out there, but doesn't appear to be himself. This offensive line, are they obviously not as good as the line that we're used to seeing?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair to say, but there's also context that's required. They're obviously banged up there. Landon Dickerson went into the season nursing an injury. He battles through it more than any player I've ever seen. He's a warrior, but he's clearly not himself. Cam Jurgens had back surgery in February and didn't work all that much in training camp. Tyler Steen suffered an injury right before the half, came back in, but wasn't 100%. Lane Johnson's been working through some things. So they're not at full strength, and that sort of leads them to that is able to, I guess, that compounds things in the sense that their offensive line isn't necessarily able to hold up quite like it has. But I think Jordan Mailata, lost in all this, has been fantastic through the first 4 games.
All right, Andrew, let's take a look at some other things that are happening. I want to get your take on what's going to happen with Nakobe Dean. It seems that the coaches are even kind of lost. I'm sure they have an idea maybe in private meetings, but how do they utilize him when he's ready to return? What do they do with Jahai Campbell? That kind of looks like something that's going to be, hitting an apex here pretty soon.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see, obviously, but it's kind of a good problem to have if you're the Eagles. And Vic Fangio doesn't traditionally rotate linebackers, but I think with a player like Nakobe Dean of that talent, you tend to wonder if he's going to make an exception because there should be a role for him. Now, I'm not suggesting that he's going to suddenly take on a sizable workload, but sporadically, I think he can be a situational player. He's very effective and tough against the run, and he's an effective blitzer as well. So there are certain facets of that defense situationally that I could see him having an impact in, and I don't believe that they're going to do anything with Jahai Campbell. He's playing too well right now as an off-ball linebacker, and as a rookie, the last thing you want to do, I would have to imagine, is take him from a position that he's continuously growing within each week. You can see it even, series to series, and make him, reduce his snaps. I don't see that happening either, but I do think that Nakobe Dean's going to factor in defensively.
All right, let's take a quick look at the matchups here. I want to get your opinion. Denver's defense ranks first in QBR. They're first in sacks, second in pressures. So what kind of defense do we think, what kind of offensive game plan do we think Philadelphia needs to kind of have this week against this very aggressive Broncos defense?
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're going to try and get the running game going. But the passing game is interesting here because you have Pat Surtain at corner, Riley Moss, another corner on the other side. You should see a lot of Devontae Smith, which I think that heavily favors the Eagles. Then they have Jaquan McMillan. He's their nickel corner, and he's been a really good story development undrafted free agent in 2022 out of East Carolina. A good student under Christian Parker, the Eagles defensive backs coach. And they have Hufanga, the safety there, who's more of a thumper. I think the area to exploit them when they do take to the air is in that second level where they have former Eagles linebacker Alex Singleton patrolling that second level. And Justin Sinnott from Wake Forest. I like him coming out of the draft, but those are 2 players that I think the Eagles should be able to take advantage of. But they have to wait and see on the availability of Dallas Goedert. That could impact things greatly.
Now, they play a lot of man defense, the Broncos. The zone has been giving the Eagles the problems, right? That's what the problem has been is teams, Dallas zoned them up 90% of the time. Tampa zoned them up. This could be a week where maybe Jalen Hurts, has the ability to then, do something he feels more comfortable. Has that been a problem for their passing game?
It just looks disjointed, and it's unfair to pinpoint everything on Kevin Petullo. I think to do that is extremely short-sighted.
Okay.
There's the offensive line. There's getting the ball out faster. There's the route concepts, the play, getting in and out of the huddle fast. And I know that it's easy to point at the offensive coordinator, but there's a lot of moving pieces to that, and I think that's important that the audience knows that it's disjointed on many levels. And I don't know that it's Jalen Hurts not being comfortable in it or anything like that. They have yet to establish an identity. I don't know exactly what they're looking to accomplish on that side of the ball yet. Are they a run-first team? Are they a pass-heavy team? Are they a team that attempts deep shots? We don't know that yet because we haven't seen it. And this is the week that I sort of earmarked as sort of a point in the season where you should have a better sense of what this team is and what their identity is. And I think that they're going to have an opportunity here against a Broncos team who is pretty well-rounded to get things going. If they can get the passing game and allow Jalen Hurts to settle into the flow with these short completions to move the offense and keep it on schedule.
Yeah, Andrew. A couple more with Andrew DiCecco. By the way, Hurts 74% completions, 4 touchdowns, 6.7 yards in the pass versus man this season. 66% with 1 touchdown, 5.6 yards per attempt versus the zone. So we'll see if Hurts can get himself going, if this disjointed pass game can get themselves going. And then, obviously you've got the Denver offense. What impresses you or would worry you if you're Vic Fangio about the Denver offense, which, doesn't have that high-profile wide receiver, running back, although J.K. Dobbins did have 100 yards last week. And Bo Nix is an interesting guy, kind of erratic at times, but had a really good game on Monday night.
Yeah, Vic Fangio likened Bo Nix to Baker Mayfield, and he can kind of escape, and he just likes to try and make plays outside of structure. Now he's thrown 4 interceptions this season against 7 touchdowns, but let's look at their skill position. They're pretty deep at wide receiver. They also have Troy Franklin in the slot. He played college football with Bo Nix at Oregon. They have Marvin Mims, who I like quite a bit, coming out a couple of years ago. And Cortland Sutton, who's more the big body possession receiver who can go up and get it and win those 50-50 balls. So, yeah, they have a pretty good receiving core. And then the running game, the Eagles haven't necessarily been as stout as normal defending the run because they have you saw what Bucky Irving was able to do against the Buccaneers, really tough running, good contact balance. They have to bring these guys down, and especially in the open field. But they have J.K. Dobbins, who's averaging 5.7 yards a carry, and rookie R.J. Harvey, a second-round pick out of UCF, who's averaging 5.1 yards a carry. And they both present a different type of skill set. So if they have the luxury of being able to keep both of those players fresh and putting that unique stress on the Eagles defense. So it's going to be paramount for them to set the tone up front and force Bo Nix to throw the football, because if he does and they get pass happy, I think there's going to be an interception or 2.
Okay. By the way, you were in Tampa. It was hot down there. Kaylee Ringo, I know this week, Vic Fangio kind of insinuated that he liked what he did, sticky coverage, and could possibly keep that job. Do you like what you see more from what Ringo gave you against Tampa, or do you think Adoree Jackson will be back?
Yeah, Keely Ringo. Yeah, I thought Keely did a nice job. He was relatively sticky in coverage. In fact, that's the word that Vic Fangio used to describe him. He's got to get a little bit better and sure with his tackles. There's 2 or 3 that he'd probably like to have back. But, I mean, the tape showed that although the ball didn't come to his side all that much, and for some reason Baker Mayfield attacked Quinyon Mitchell through the air, and it didn't work out for them, surprisingly. I would say that, Keely Ringo had pretty good coverage on those receivers. And I said this on, I don't remember what platform at this time, but it was something that I could see that his confidence never wavered. And despite things not going his way coming out of training camp, and he saw that on the field, didn't sink his head. He didn't hang his head. He didn't. The body language is really positive, and he got after it every snap, good play or bad. And I think that's a good telltale of the DNA of a good cornerback. So we'll have to wait and see if they turn to him this week. I think Adoree Jackson does some things better in terms of fluidity. He moves better. He has good lateral movement, and he can transition better. But Ringo has the size, the physicality, and, a player who at that age, 23 years old, you can work with him. You can continue to develop him. And I don't know that it serves him or the Eagles any benefit of yanking him and then going with a 30-year-old corner. But we'll wait and see. Vic Fangio said it's possible that Keely Ringo could be back out there.
He's Andrew DiCecco, everybody. There you go. A little breakdown of the Eagles and Broncos. Should be fun. It is a 1 o'clock game at the Link, and you can listen to it right here on 97.3 ESPN. That is Football at 4. He is Andrew DiCecco from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew, take care, bud.
You too.
All right, there he is, everybody. It's Andrew DiCecco, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. I am Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash, and we got a lot more to go, including, you take a look at some of the numbers in this matchup. Let's keep it here and look at some of the numbers in the matchup here real quick. The one thing that I talked about with Andrew, they play a lot of man coverage. They play more man than any defense in the league. So this could be a week where you do see A.J. Brown. If they're manned up on A.J. Brown, that should be a recipe for success for him, right? You get him man-to-man, as we gave you the numbers. Hurts is 31 of 42. That's a 74% completion percentage, 6.7 yards an attempt. He's getting an extra yard every attempt when he sees man coverage, but he has really struggled against that zone coverage. We talked about it the other day. Dallas played zone against Philly 90% of the time. I think last week Tampa Bay zoned up the Eagles. I could find the exact number, and I'd rather get a more exact number than just guessing in this situation. But I want to say it was in like the 40% range. So those are the plays where he has generally struggled. The question will be, will Denver do what they generally like to do? Right? They like to play zone, and they have a good defense. Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator. Smart guy, was the head coach in Denver. It's an interesting situation. He was the head coach. Then he had to kind of swallow his pride and go back there to be the defensive coordinator after he was the head coach down there. But when you think about it, that's what he likes to do. He likes to play man. They play more man coverage than any team in the league. So you take a look at last week. It was a tale of two halves for Jalen Hurts. 15 of 16 in the first half. Second half, doesn't complete a pass. So what happens? The Buccaneers stop blitzing after halftime. Jalen Hurts was 7 for 9 with 2 touchdowns when he was blitzed in the game. Well, one thing that Vance Joseph doesn't do a lot is blitz. They play man. They don't blitz. This is a very interesting conundrum, I think, for Kevin Patullo, the play caller, because he's going to see all this man coverage, but he's not going to get a lot of extra attackers coming after his quarterback. So you get a lot of man coverage, but where's that extra guy? That's going to be the chess match. We heard Chris Long say it yesterday, that in the second half of that game, right, that Todd Bowles got the better of Kevin Patullo, and that Patullo really didn't have an answer, right? Here is what Chris Long said on the Green Light podcast. We played it for you yesterday on the Sports Bash, but let's play it again.
The second half, Patullo failed to stay ahead of Bowles. I think he just failed to stay ahead of the curve. Spot route to A.J. Brown became super predictable. All the underneath stuff's getting jumped by multiple guys. They're running into bad looks. Jalen airmailed his shots. Bowles went to the sim pressures. That was a big difference from the first half. The sim pressures in the second half, I think it caused a little bit of confusion. But you knew Bowles was going to counter. You knew at some point Bowles was going to have a counter for this young coordinator. And he did. And it was ugly in the second half. It was f***ing hideous.
Bleeping hideous. But they certainly changed their style up. They did something that they didn't do in the first half. Hurts beat them. The second half, they changed it up. As I told you, they stopped blitzing after halftime, and that's when the Eagles' defense had all sorts of problems. Here's one thing that I think is going to be interesting on the other side of the ball. The Buccaneers got back in the game, and the guy that Vic Fangio compared Bo Nix to was Baker Mayfield. They had 2 70-yard touchdowns by Mayfield. That's not happening again. So you're going to have to find other ways to score. This team ain't scoring 2 70-yard touchdowns in that game. That's the one question I have in this game. How is Denver? They're not a big play offense. How do they, you think about this. Baker Mayfield was 5 of 20 on throws that went more than 5 yards down the field. 5 of 20. Bo Nix is going to have to do a much better job than that. And I don't see a scenario where the Eagles allow themselves to make the same mistakes defensively that they made on those 2 plays. So that's 14 points that you ain't getting in that style. You're going to have to get a different style of completion there. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Chiggies and Pete's is where we are, of course, every Thursday live at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Hey, they got a big night tonight. It is the big game. Game 3, you can listen to it on 97.3 ESPN. That is the Yankees and the Red Sox. I have been so into these baseball games. You guys into the baseball games? I have been so into the baseball game. You got a winner-take-all triple header. The second time a pair of rookie pitchers will start in a Game 3 postseason, well, not a Game 3, any postseason winner-take-all. Now, Josh, you're a guy who likes to guess trivia. Do you know the last time two rookies started against each other in a winner-take-all? I don't expect you to know this, but I'm just going to give you a guess because I know you like to.
Well, I know in 97, Levon Hernandez was a rookie. So are we talking about the 90s at all here or no?
This game happened not in the 90s.
All right. Well, that was my first. That would be my first guess because Levon Hernandez. That was kind of the joke, right? It was like Levon Hernandez is a rookie, quote unquote. Nobody knew how old he was when he came to Marlins. Oh boy, how long ago was this?
Not long ago.
Not long ago.
Not
oh
long
boy,
ago.
that definitely throws me off then.
I would say within the last. I will give you a 10-year window.
Winner take all.
Winner take all. It was a game 7, by the way.
So, okay, but it didn't have to be like the World Series. It could be like any round.
Any game that was a deciding game.
The last 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, well, that throws out the Giants-Rangers series from 2010. So, my guess without having...
Yeah, Conley, Conley early against Cam Schlitter tonight. That's the two rookies are pitching tonight, yes. Just for the people out there, they're both rookies. They're
both
facing
rookies,
each other in a winner-take-all. It has not happened in a winner-take-all postseason game since this game.
I am going to...
And by the way, it's the first time ever that has two starting pitchers that have less than 15 games of Major League experience facing each other.
Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
This game right here.
I mean, I'm not very confident in this guess. I'm just going to put it out there, but...
I will be shocked if you get this.
I'm guessing, because you said the last 10 years.
Yes.
Well, 10 years ago, the Mets went to the World Series and played the Royals and lost. So my guess has to do with Matt Harvey versus somebody.
That is incorrect. The answer is the NLCS Game 7, 2020, Ann Anderson against Dustin May. It is the last time, and it's only the second time two rookies have started in a winner-take-all situation. That's tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, you can listen to that game and all the Phillies Red October playoff baseball action. On Saturday, we'll have the Phillies and the Dodgers. It's Ohtani and Sanchez. We're going to dive more into that. Knicks Nuggets are coming up here on the Sports Bash. Stick around. That is next.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So my sandwich shop was opening in a week, and I needed signage.
A week is plenty of time to panic.
I went to Staples. They printed banners, posters, and flyers to promote my grand opening.
All in time for your grand closing.
Nope, I had it same day. I even got $125 off my order.
Hold the onions. For all your business printing, Staples.
That was easy.
Now save up to $125 on custom print orders. In-store and online, same day if ordered by 12 p.m. Into 11/1 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Go where the players go right here at Chickies and Pete's. In Atlantic City, you know, this is a great spot. I was just walking around during the break there, looking at the ocean. You know, it's very peaceful to watch. You got good waves out there if you're a surfer.
It's very choppy out there today, yep.
The boardwalk here, you just talked about it, though. Feels a little fallish, right? A little fall. I got the long sleeve on today.
Yeah, I'm still going short sleeves. I'm trying to hang on as long as possible. But
Happy hour at Chickies and Pizzas every Monday through Thursday from 4 till 6. $3 domestic bottles, $6 Tito's, $6 seltzers, plus half-price appetizers. Chickiesandpizza.com for the details, locations. Time now for the Nuggets. They're brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw is the host of the Shift podcast and the producer of The Locker Room weekends on 97.3 ESPN. And he is the host of Nernshaw Radio Mondays and Wednesday nights on his social media platforms. And he was at the Phillies inter-squad game last night. Let's get a little update on that for today's edition of Nick's Nuggets.
What's going on, guys? Great to be with you here on the Nuggets on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Yes, I was at the intra-squad. Shout out to Mark, our guy, for the tickets. It was a lot of fun. Got to meet him, got a picture with him last night, so that was really awesome. 3 rows behind the dugout, guys. We were right there. We were seeing all the action.
Now, he told me he gobbled up like 25 tickets.
Yeah, he had a ton of tickets down there, and I very much appreciate it. Me and a couple of my buddies went. And we had an absolute blast. And it was funny.
He was hoping for an invite.
Oh, wow. PG didn't get the invite?
No, from you.
Oh, from me? From me? What do you want me to do?
Didn't get the invite. You had the tickets.
I had a couple of tickets. With the roommates, some of my close buddies, we went.
Okay, well, PG.
Well, hit me up next time, right?
I got you, Pete.
He was wondering. I said, well, he asked me if I wanted to go, but I couldn't go. And PG said,
because I got it, yeah.
Gone. Yeah.
It's all right. We'll get them next time. Listen, it was a good time.
NLCS game 2, all right?
We'll go. Me and you, Pete. All right? We'll go. Here we go. All right, into the Nuggets from last night. Intra-squad. A lot of fun. It was funny because both teams in different uniforms, the powder blues versus the red pinstripes last night, and they used both dugouts. Now, the other squad, I believe it was the pinstripes, they kept walking towards the original Phillies dugout because they had to use the away dugout last night. So that was hilarious. All right. And last night, what I noticed, there's a lot of strikeouts by the offense last night on both teams. Okay. So a lot of strikeouts. Walker Buehler struggled a little bit. Bryce Harper hit a home run. Taijuan Walker was pretty solid. Nola Luzardo also looked solid. The pitching overall, pretty decent. The at-bats, okay. Didn't like that there was so many strikeouts throughout the game last night. So you want to hope, and you hope that this team can get it rolling as we continue here into the postseason, okay? Because last night I didn't love some of the at-bats from some of the guys, but hey, it's an intra-squad. It's a little bit different. You're in front of 31,000 at the bank. It was interesting to say the least, but the crowd was really good. It felt like a regular season game for the most part. Not a postseason feel yet. Not a total postseason feel, but did have like a regular season feel for just a practice game. So that was pretty cool. But overall, a lot of strikeouts, a couple of good at-bats. Bryce hit a bomb, and you'll take that.
And you got the Durantula.
Did get the Durantula. Got the whole entrance, too, by the way. They did the whole entrance, and I'm not paying $15 extra for that. I think that's crazy. $5 I'll pay. $5.
Okay.
Are you going to pay for that?
$5 maybe.
$5's acceptable.
You should pay $0.
I agree.
He
but
was
maybe
entertained.
It was cool.
The one thing is, we've always worried about the team that doesn't play having all this time off. I guess the blessing in disguise is that the Dodgers will now be off Thursday and Friday, so they have an uncharacteristic 2 days off as well, and they're the team that has been hot the last 2 days against the Reds. They don't get to carry that momentum right into your series, so you got that kind of going for you, but of course you've been off. Like if I'm the Phillies, I don't like how they do this. Like today it's a voluntary day, right? They don't have to come, and I'm assuming everybody does. You really look like a jerk if you don't show up, today. But I know the Mariners, for instance, they're playing an inter-squad game again today. And I don't know if they're selling tickets and doing what the Phillies did, but they played an inter-squad game yesterday. I think they're playing another one today.
Milwaukee did the same thing.
And what I said last year was if I'm the Phillies, because, then you get to the point where you don't want to use pitchers, I would go get – this is where Andrew Painter – I would pitch Painter against them. Like my best prospects who have the best and nastiest stuff, give them a shot because you know why? they're going to want to show the front office, hey, I can step up to the challenge and pitch like in this moment. Like if you would have put Andrew Painter out there last night, that place would have gone nuts to see him pitch last night. You pitched Painter in the game. Now, I get it. Last night, you pitched the guys that you want to get some work in, Luzardo and Nola, those guys. But tonight, you play again and have another game so that the hitters get another night of live pitching. But you use Griff McGarry, you use Andrew Painter, you use your best prospects in your organization and let them go out there and deal.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. Having those guys do another intra-squad. Remember, they only played 7 innings last night. It was only a 7-inning ball game for the most part.
I assume it was because of pitching.
Yeah. And they brought in Walker, both Walker Buehler and Taijuan Walker, so they got those guys some work as well. Who's going to be on the roster?
To Harper, right?
Yeah.
Buehler's the one to give it the bomb. Yeah.
Yep. So he gave the bomb dead center to Bryce. So that's a good sign that Bryce is hitting some home runs and hitting for power as of right now. But what's interesting also is that the Los Angeles Dodgers, they get a couple days off here too because they won 2 games right in a row. They get today off, they get tomorrow off, and they don't play until Saturday night. So they get a couple of days off as well. So they get like a little mini bye.
I feel like I just heard that a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying they get the bye as well.
That's what I just said.
The only difference
was that the Dodgers, the only blessing in disguise here is that the Dodgers now have the next 2 days off. They don't get their momentum rolling into you. Like if they would have played tonight, they would have only had Friday off, which happens during the course of the regular season. You do get 1 day off.
Yep.
But now to have 2 days off in a row, that's something that you generally don't get. However, the Phillies have been off since last Sunday, so they have not played Monday, Tuesday. They did get live pitching last night, and then, Thursday, Friday. Now, today they got nothing going on. I'm sure they're doing something, but it's not mandatory. Tomorrow, they are having a workout at the ballpark, and then they will play on Saturday. That's where I would have had an inter-squad game tonight and had my top minor league pitchers, Andrew Painter, Griff McGarry, whoever's down there in the minor league is one of my best 3 or 4 guys. I would have had them pitch today in the game. And then, you could have used guys. I don't know who didn't appear last night. Like, did Strom pitch last night?
Came in. Robertson came in. Kerkering came in. Most of the relievers came in last night.
Maybe I use the other guy, whoever. But still, the big thing for me was
Ranger did not pitch, though.
No Ranger.
Ranger did not pitch because he's scheduled. Now, Luzardo pitched because he's not set to pitch until, I guess, Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Now, Bob Wankel said yesterday on the show, see what you think about this. Bob Wankel said yesterday that it wouldn't shock him if they used Nola in this series as a 4th starter. He said the only starter he thinks is guaranteed to pitch twice would be Sanchez. But then you pitch Nola in the 4th game, and that allows you to use Ranger or somebody else as a bullpen.
That would be a piggyback then.
Yeah, it'd be a piggyback game.
But you have a short leash on him. You know that he only goes through the lineup maybe once, and maybe hopefully that gets you like 3 innings, and then maybe a Walker Buehler comes in and pitches 3 innings, and that gets you to the 6 or something like that. But he said don't rule out that they go Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo, Nola in the 4th game, and then the 5th game it would be Sanchez if you need there, and then in the bullpen you have Ranger Suarez as a bullpen option.
Right. That would be fascinating if they were able to use him. And remember, they got Walker Buehler for this type of reason, right? So they could use him and piggyback him off a guy like Aaron Nola at this point in the season. And if you're Nola, he looked good last night. He looked solid. He pitched great in the last time out against the Twins, right? And last night he looked pretty good. So looked like he had his stuff, almost walked back to the wrong dugout, but that's okay. That happens in an intra-squad game when you have 31,000 people there. But I thought he looked good. I'd be curious to see how they use him. Now, I also want to bring up this to you guys. Buster Olney was talking about Hunter Green tipping pitches in his first game against the Dodgers, right? In game 1 of that wild card series. Is there any thought as to what Hembo was talking about a couple of weeks ago, or I guess last week it was, regarding Luzardo tipping pitches and pitching on the road? Would there be any thought of maybe flip-flopping, depending on what happens in game 1, Ranger and Luzardo, game 2 and 3? Would you switch that?
We talked about that. I think we were here last week when we brought
Yeah.
that up, and their splits are not drastic on either side, those guys. So,
But are you worried about Luzardo tipping pitches more so on the road because of what has been talked about? Hunter Green was at Dodger Stadium tipping pitches, and they were figuring him out pretty good, and he's had a solid year.
Yeah, I was surprised at how.
Yeah, Boston was tipping pitches. Aaron Judge was figuring that out too in that series.
How is it that you can tip pitches in one location and not another?
Because it's on the road. I don't know.
Why is it different building? That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's what Hembo brought up. That's what I'm talking about.
I know that, and I'm not quite. I'm just saying, how is it that if you're playing the same team, but if you're playing the same team in one building as opposed to a different building, one building they can figure out your pitches, but the other one they can't?
Well, it's because it's the home stadium of the opposing team, and they have more intricate, I guess, pitch tipping ways of going about it. I don't know. But according to Hembo, they have better ways of figuring it out at home. When teams are at home, they can figure out the opposing pitcher more so than when they're on the road because it's their home building.
That's my point, though. I don't know what the building would have to do unless you were just flat out cheating.
Well,
like if you had
is that the
cameras or
accusation?
You're trying to find a logical answer, and I can't get one other than, well, they're at home. That's not an answer. I mean,
Using different video different angles, different video. Could be different. I don't know. Apparently, this is going on across Major League Baseball, according to Buster, according to Hembo.
So in that case, then they have a problem that Major League Baseball has to look into is when you're at home, are teams doing something that is allowing them to find out more about the pitchers and what they're pitching? Like, are you getting camera angles or something that you should not be using?
Right.
Point.
I don't know.
Because you're not just saying, well, we're at home, so we feel more comfortable because I slept in my bed last night.
No,
so I can see what pitches you're throwing better. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No, but he brought it up. That's why it's a thought.
Cleveland's up one. It's 1-1. Cleveland and Detroit, Game 3.
Yeah, and whoever wins tonight, Boston, New York, decides the time for the Phillies on Saturday.
He brought it up. My point that I'm saying is it makes no sense unless they were cheating. You can't just say, well, we're better at figuring pitches out in our home building. Why? Well, because we're at home. Why can't you do the same thing on the road that you're doing at home to figure out you know what I'm saying? Say, well, because they're at home means you are doing something at home that you have extra technology that you don't have on the road, because if you did it at home, you would be able to do the same thing on the road.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this is what was brought up, and maybe you look into it deeper than it already is, right? But if you're a baseball team and you're thinking about trying to get a competitive advantage here, and Luzardo has had problems tipping pitches, and he brought up the point, maybe on the road it's not going to be as great as if he's at home. It's something to think about. I mean, Hunter Green's a perfect example.
Yeah, I was surprised about Hunter Green. He's been really good. He's a strikeout pitcher. It just seemed like he didn't have his command last night. Or the first night, I guess I should say. Now, the game last night, they just collided. My gosh, you've seen a lot of that going on in these series. By the way, the DeLauder just made that catch. He hasn't – have you ever – the guy made his big league debut yesterday.
Yeah,
he has
crazy.
not played a Major League Baseball game ever until yesterday.
Crazy.
He's a rookie. So, and they stuck him out in center field. Of course, he made an error yesterday. But – and now this one, he just collided with the right fielder on that one. The game last night, Cincinnati goes up 2-0. Then freaking Keke Hernandez. I mean, God almighty, that guy just is such a pain in the ass.
Yep.
And then they come back 3-2. He hits the double. And then Cincinnati loads the bases up in the 6th with nobody out. It's bases loaded, nobody out, and they cannot get a run home. And that's where the game was won. Because if that's the case, you probably get Yamamoto out of that game. And now you're into the bullpen, and now it's helter-skelter.
What's the confidence level right now? Because the bullpen is what everyone's talking about with the Dodgers, right? If you can get to their bullpen and beat them that way, you're in really good shape, right? That's where you're at.
I need to know, this is what I need to know. What is the restrictions on Ohtani? 80 pitches, 100, what? That's what I need to know, because that will be a big factor. By the way, someone just went yard for Detroit over there, And now Detroit has taken the lead.
Dingler.
Wow. Oh,
Dylan Dingler.
Dylan Dingler
Yeah.
just hit a dinger. Wow, 2-1. Oh, these games have been great. What is Ohtani's leash is going to be a big one here. Like last game, he was throwing a no-hitter through 5, and they pulled him.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see. He was fantastic last time he was out. Like you mentioned, no hit through 5, right? And if they can get him out early.
How many pitches what has been like his top, like, have they said, hey, his pitch count is this, we're not going to let him go? You know what I'm saying? Like, what has been kind of like the number for him?
For him, I'm curious to see because it's postseason.
Right? He hasn't had many starts.
No, he hasn't. He's only started 7 games this year.
Right.
That's been the thing. And he's gone.
Build.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of his other starts, I mean, he hasn't gone a ton. He hasn't gone deep into ball games. Back in June when he started first, remember, it was 1 inning, 2 innings, 2 innings, 3 innings. He hasn't gone deep. The deepest he's gone was on September 23rd against Arizona. They let him go 6 innings.
So against
91
the Phillies,
pitches.
He threw 68, and so he has pitched.
He's ramped it up since August.
He's got 28, 18, 27, 31, 36, 46, 51, 54, 80, 66, 87 he threw in a game, and then he threw 70, 68, and 91. So we got 91 pitches through 6 innings against Arizona. That's the last time he's pitched.
Yep.
But if he's up to 91, I would imagine that they are getting to the point where he can keep creeping it up a little bit more. So
yeah,
that's a big advantage because the game against Philly, he threw 5 innings. He had 68 pitches in that game.
Yeah, and I think in the postseason, they're going to let him rock, right? They're going to let him go as far as he's able to go.
Maybe. I just don't know if they're like, hey, it doesn't matter this year. Give us what you can give us. Because there was some consideration that they would use him out of the bullpen.
Yeah, there is. But he's going to start this first game against Sanchez. Do you let him go 90 pitches if he can get into the 6th inning? Because I think if you're the Dodgers, you don't want to utilize your bullpen as much as possible. If you can get as many innings out of that starter as you can, especially Ohtani, you're going to let him ride. Go as far as you want.
Well, 91 has been his high point. So do they let him get to 100? You know, that's when, like, if it's the 6th inning, that game he threw 91 in the 6th. If he's at 91, do you say, hey, you get to start the 7th? You're dealing, you got a no-hitter going, a one-hitter or whatever. We're giving you the start of the 7th. Because we have seen these teams with Skubal in Game 1, Crochet in Game 1. They both went into the 7th inning, and then they got pulled with 2 outs in the 7th.
Yeah, so 77 pitches he's averaged over his last 6 starts. So that's where he's at right now. If you're Shohei Ohtani, I think they'd probably let him go as far as he possibly can. The fact that he was pitched so well against the Phillies last time at CBP, now he's never hit a home run at Citizens Bank Park, one of only 2 ballparks. He's never hit a home run.
He's hitless in 52 at-bats.
It's crazy. So it's like the opposite on the mound. He's pitched very well on the mound. So that's where you're at. All right, one big nugget for you today there, Mike Gill.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. That's our nuggets today. They're brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. All right, Nick, we will talk to you tomorrow, man.
All right, see you tomorrow.
All right, there we go. The nuggets are brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. And, of course, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, KC Joyner has one thought every game on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. You know, something
Ohtani has 2 doubles. I'm sorry.
We were talking with DiCecco earlier about how good Denver's defense is. We're going to break that down a little deeper because one thing we talked about, if you remember back in Football at 4 today, I was talking about man coverage. Denver plays a lot of man coverage, but they do that because they have really good corners. That's why they play a lot of man coverage. So if Denver plays man, is that a recipe for success for Philadelphia? Because they have really struggled against zone defenses. We'll ask KC Joyner that. We'll break down that matchup plus the game tonight, Niners and Rams. And don't forget, that game tonight is on 97.3 ESPN. You can listen to the game, on our sister station, Rock 104.1. Rams and Niners tonight on Rock 104.1. The baseball game, Yankees-Red Sox. That will be right here on 97.3 ESPN. When we come back, it's KC Joyner from The Athletic. One thought every game.
home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
All right, 5 o'clock hour, Sports Bash live at Chickies and Pete's, Tropicana, Atlantic City. And you know they got all the games on here at Go Where the Players Go. It's happy hour till 6 o'clock tonight. They got all sorts of sweet, heat, hot wings from A.J. Brown. Well, he's been pretty saucy this week, if you will. Garage Beer Special, Team 62 with Jason Kelsey. One thought every game. KC Joyner set to join us from The Athletic. He's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. Well, we're going to get into everything on this Eagles-Broncos matchup and more. One thought every game right now with KC Joyner from The Athletic, who joins us right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Casey, welcome back, man. And the Eagles are 4-0. You would think, man, they're undefeated. They won the Super Bowl last year. When you look at this Eagles offense and the role A.J. Brown has in it, do they use him enough? Do they use him to the best of his abilities? When you watch their offense and you see the personnel they have, are they leaving a lot of meat on the bone?
Well, it depends on what kind of steak you want, I guess. They seem to want a steak that says we're going to run the ball and we're going to avoid turnovers. I did an article for The Athletic earlier this week that talked about the Eagles and why they do what they do. Part of the article was, and it was partially because when you pass the ball, you're 4 times more likely to have turnovers when you don't. And if you win the turnover battle, you tend to win the game. And if you win a turnover battle by 2, you win like 86% of the time. The Eagles just take that to an extreme. And when you take it to an extreme, we're not going to put the ball in the air. You're going to put the ball in the air only in certain situations that's really favorable. And offenses are going to sit there and say, well, we're going to try and stop them. We're also going to try and do things here. And I think the Eagles think we can pretty much run the ball against any kind of front. We're used to a lot of things teams try to do. So, he could be. He's got a ton of talent. And they could do a lot of things with him. But if you're going to run that type of offense, this might be a guy. He might be like Paul Warfield back for the Dolphins back in the 70s. Got him only catch 20 passes a year, but he caught 8 of them for touchdowns. They've still won. That's great. But I think AJ wants to be catching 100 passes.
Well, I mean, he did get 9 targets last week. He had 10 the week before and 8 the week before that. So he's getting targets. Why are those targets not ending up in completed plays or bigger plays? He had 2 catches for 7 yards last week.
A lot of it we talked a couple of days ago about where it's a lot of vertical passes, and vertical passes are just lower percentage passes. And it's one of those things, too, where I think the Eagles have an idea when it comes to vertical passes. You've got some passers who just say, hey, we're going to put it in there. And there's an old saying, in the NFL where if you're quarterback, they'll tell the quarterback, if you're going to throw it, we want you to overthrow it as opposed to forcing completion if you have to pick between the two. So if you see somebody, a safety might get there, overthrow the safety, and if your receiver can go get it, great, and if he can't, take the incompletion. So I think that's what the Eagles look at. They say, look, if you're in a situation where where we've got somebody capped over the top of you, okay, well, we're not going to force a pass in there to you. You might have a 50-50 coverage with the guy who's there on you, but that's that. And also I think that if you're an opposing team, you look at Devontae, and he's more of he's the smaller guy. He does certain things. But, if you're saying, okay, we're going to isolate somebody, we're going to, Brown's going to be our guy. He's going to be our X receiver. And if that's the case, and he's going to be that, okay, we're going to put our bet. They typically the defense will put their best guy on that player because they know that that's the weak side of the field. So I think that's a combination of those factors. And again, the Eagles don't see what they like. They're a percentage football team, and that I think it all adds up to him not getting as many targets and getting the low percentage targets when he does get targeted.
KC Joyner with us here. One thought every game in just a moment. Looking at the Eagles and Broncos. Saquon Barkley, 46 yards, 43 yards in his last 2 games. It could be the 3rd straight game with fewer than 50 yards would be the longest streak of his career. I mean, you're going back to those bad Giant offenses. What is going on with the Eagles' run game, and is this a week that they might be able to get that going against this Denver defense, which is very good?
Denver is very good. If you had to pick a place that you should go, they could probably run the football against these guys. If I had to pick, okay, do I want to throw against Surtain in coverage, or do I want to run the ball? I think I'd rather run the ball. A lot of it has to do with defenses are playing to stop Barkley. After last year, they had a lot of time to look at what you do to slow Barkley down. And there are things you can do. And the thing is, the big thing to do at Barkley is you to prevent the breakaways. You're not going to stop the 4 and 5 yard carries. You're just not. You guys can get those all the time, unless you're getting penetration and things. Most of the time, teams are going to play that. They're going to play, hey, we're going to try and keep this thing capped. And if they do that, and you can bring safeties down, even if you're not getting down to stop the run long breakaway, you're going to stop it to a marginal gain. And I think that's a lot of what they're doing. And the Eagles need to find ways to do things at Barkley to give him more breakaway opportunities. But again, while they're winning, they're not going to make any big changes. So it's, hey, we're giving them 4 or 5 yard carries, and we're still moving the ball, and we're still getting touchdowns, and we're not turning the ball over. Eagles might be perfectly happy with that, even if it only means, say, 1,200 yards for Barkley this year.
Okay, so this is an interesting week because Dallas zoned them 90% of the plays. Tampa blitzed them in the first half, then pulled the blitz off and zoned them in the second half. Denver plays more man than anybody else in the league. So how does that change the dynamic of this matchup in the pass game as you look at it?
If you want to play man, I'm telling Hurts, look for scrambles. If they're playing man, if they want to spy Hurts, and I can understand why they do that. If you do that, you're taking somebody out of coverage and you're saying, hey, we're going to do things. Okay, if you want to spy Hurts, now we're going to throw things to where, we're going to play the spy and we're going to go away from wherever he goes because we know we're going to get some favorable coverage there. We're going to go after that. But if you're going to play man, let Hurts scramble. Let Hurts beat these guys that way. And if you're going to play man, a lot of what you're going to do with man, you're going to play one high. And if you're going to play one high, okay, if you're going to play one high, you can get more breakaway runs. If you look at like the numbers of breakaway runs versus a single high defense versus 2 high safeties, you're going to get more breakaway runs versus single high defense just because there's only one guy back versus 2. Yeah. So I think that's some of the things too. They could look for both those areas.
But can I also look to throw it to, I don't know, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in this? Again, if you got man one-on-one, don't I feel confident enough that I have the weapons that I should be able to move the ball through the air this week? Not say, hey, I'm going to just take off.
Yeah, you could. I mean, again, you've got Surtain. And Surtain, by the way, he would not normally line up. If you look at the matchups where he normally lines up, he would not normally line up against Brown, and I think they will line him up there. And Denver's probably a team that is going to go ahead and play shadow coverage. If you've got that, though, they've got Riley Moss in coverage, and Riley Moss is not very good. They got McMillan as their nickel safety. He's solid, but Moss has subpar numbers. So usually if you were going lineup matchup, you'd say he's going to face Brown. But if they move Surtain over, okay, go Devontae Smith there against him if you want to move him over to that spot. Or, you know what, Dotson, I'm not saying he's a great receiver, but if you put Dotson up against a bad cornerback, can you hit a couple big plays there? You could if you play call it right. So, yeah, I want to take advantage of a couple of those weaknesses.
All right, KC Joyner, one thought every game coming up in just a second. You look at the Denver offense against Philly's defense here. Denver, Nick's had a good game last week, but he's been up and down and all around. He's kind of erratic. The receivers, they don't have that A.J. Brown level of receiver on their side. They did run for 100, but it's taken them like 10 years, it feels like, to get a 100-yard rusher. They do have a very good offensive line, though. So how does this offense match up against what Philly does well? And, we know Philly's a pretty good defense, but they have struggled against the runs. They gave up big plays, 2 of them last week against Tampa Bay.
They did. They're still 13th in fantasy points allowed on planned rush plays for the past 4 weeks. So they've been shut down before. That's unacceptable for the Eagles. It's not a huge weakness. The thing is for the Eagles, though, and this is going to be the big question mark for their coaching staff going into the game, is they want to play a let's grind it out, let's do a slugfest kind of game. And usually the other team is trying to do things to get the Eagles to get away from that. Hey, we want you to throw the ball so we have a chance of getting sacks and picks and getting a big plays that, the splash plays that can turn games around. The Broncos are perfectly willing to say, okay, we'll play slugfest too. And if that's the case, I mean, you might get, you get one of those old school Giants games where the 90 Giants games where just smash mouth football and you get it on both sides. You could have something of that. I could see them doing this. Having said that, the Eagles' coverage metrics have not been anywhere near as good this year. Ringo has done okay, but it's still, if I'm the Broncos, that's a guy I want to go after. I mean, assuming he's out there, I want to go into that matchup. I really want to try that out. And Mitchell and DeJean have not played quite as well this year, so I wouldn't mind putting the ball up. Like you said, Nix is a guy they can give him good pass blocking, but he's somebody I don't know that I want him throwing the ball 35 times against this defense. But I think the Broncos are going to play the type of offense that the Eagles would like to see them play.
All right, one thought every game. We'll get the ultimate thought on that game coming up in just a little bit. Let's get into this week's edition of One Thought Every Game, Rams and Niners. Great game tonight for Thursday Night Football. It's over on our sister station, Rock 104.1. Obviously, Mac Jones back at quarterback, and the Rams a big threat in the NFC.
Yeah, I thought earlier this week, I mean, the Niners were making it seem like, it seems like Purdy's okay. They were playing the semantics game, and okay, Purdy's out of the lineup. So I had to change my pick. I do confidence picks for the New York Times, The Athletic, every week. So I had to change that pick for anybody who's checking out that article. By the way, though, the 49ers used to dominate this series, but now you got Purdy out, and you got all the injuries there, and I think the Rams defense can keep Christian McCaffrey somewhat in check, and Kyron Williams is every bit as good. So I think when your 49ers are that banged up and it's at LA and LA's been playing well, I'll take the Rams to pick.
All right, one thought every game, and of course that game, the Thursday Night Football, is over on Rock 104.1 tonight. London, the Vikings are there again. The Browns are coming over. Really good Browns defense. Vikings obviously with Carson Wentz. Can they move the ball against the Browns? And Dylan Gabriel is the new quarterback for Cleveland.
Yeah, they got it. They had to make the change, and that they didn't go Shedeur. I mean, who knows what that means? But you got to do something. I mean, you got to kind of look forward to your future. Problem for the Browns, look, they got a strong defense. They got good special teams. It's not like they don't have some strengths on their team. It's just they haven't scored more than 17 points in the game. And Minnesota is now, even though it's technically a road game, if you're looking at the schedule, Minnesota's been over their week. They're acclimated to the times which Cleveland isn't, and Minnesota can also score more points on a consistent basis than Cleveland. So I'm taking the Vikings.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go Raiders, Colts. This Colts team, they fought hard. They lost to the Rams. Raiders last week, rough outing for the Raiders.
Yeah, Geno Smith is when he throws interceptions, he throws them in bunches. He doesn't just one's not enough for him. He's like a Lay's potato chip there. You can't have more than one, in just one. So the game's closer on paper than it would seem. Again, Raiders' problem is turnovers. The Vegas ground attack, I think, is not going to do anywhere near as well as this week as they did last week. I like the Colts ground game, and Daniel Jones has played fairly well, and so I'll take it. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to pick Colts to win.
All right, one thought every game. Jets lost again on Monday night. Cowboys, last we saw them, it was an entertaining game, but they tied. But they got to go on the road this week against the Jets here, so we'll see what Dallas Jekyll and Hyde shows up here.
Funny thing is, Schottenheimer doesn't want to get into shootouts. He does not want to get into scoreboard shootouts. He's an old school. Remember who his dad is. I mean, he wants to be smash mouth football. But the Cowboys have to get in those games sometimes, and they can get into them whenever they want to. They've got the kind of offense that can do it. The Jets have allowed 27 more points in every game this season, so I think it leans in that direction. I think Schottenheimer's group is going to go that way. I still think they've got a strong ground game and such, and the Jets are now down to running back and things. So I know Sauce is there, but they don't move him around as much as, say, Surtain move against the Broncos. So I'll take Dallas to win this.
All right, one thought every game. Dolphins coming off a win. Panthers, they won 30-0 one week, then they got beat by 30 the following week here. So they don't know what to think about them, but they are favored at home here against a Dolphins team that is averaging just 16 points a game on the road. So this one could be ugly.
It could be, and now you got Tyreek out, and it means that McDaniel's going to have to lean on the ground game. It's very creative run play caller. When you break down his tapes, it's just like it's incredible. Every game, it's something like, oh wow, that's really creative. Unfortunately, they got a really bad run defense, and Canales is a very been a play caller too. So I think he's going to go after that defense. I think it's going to be a run-centric game between two evenly matched teams. In that kind of game, I'll take the home team. So I'm taking Carolina.
He likes Carolina there. All right, no Tyreek Hill, obviously, for the rest of the season for that offense. Let's go to one thought every game on Texans-Ravens. Two teams 1-3 all of a sudden. I mean, the Ravens in all sorts of trouble. Quarterback Lamar Jackson looks like he won't play. And finally, the Texans got something going last week.
They did, and we talked about a couple of days ago. The Texans' offense, when you don't rush the passer, when you can't get after their quarterback, hey, this is what they could do to you. Stroud's a really good player. If you can give him some protection. And right now they're giving him some protection. They did last week in Baltimore. their defense is just, when you look at their advanced metrics across the board, they're atrocious. It's like, wow, I can't believe they're this bad. Not just mediocre, but like as in near bottom of the league. So I don't think they're going to be able to get after Houston. I don't think they'll get after Stroud. And you've got Cooper Rush under center, and the Texans have a solid defense, solid secondary and solid rush defense. I'm going to take Houston to win this game.
All right, one thought every game. That would drop the Ravens, by the way, to 1-4. Titans and Cardinals, if the Titans lose, it would be their 11th straight loss. Cam Ward has been sacked an NFL high 17 times. Cardinals have 2 straight losses after starting 2-0, but if they win this, that keeps that NFC West with everybody over 3 wins. Cardinals at home against the Titans.
Yeah, Titans there. As bad as I mentioned the Ravens, how bad they were, the Titans are bad everywhere. It's hard to find a spot if they're good at anything. Their metrics are just, it's atrocious. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're only 7.5-point favorites. The Cardinals are a better team on paper, and they're at home. I would expect this to be double-digit point spread. So Cam Ward, I won't repeat what he said, but he's right about what his team is, and the Cardinals are a good team. And plus, the Cardinals have been frustrated. Just lost 2 division games, lost them close, and they really want to look for a turnaround. This is the perfect place for a turnaround. I'll take them big.
One thought every game, Bucks and Seahawks. This should be a good game. We've had a lot of clunkers, but this one's pretty good here. Bucks going all the way to the Pacific Northwest. It's probably one of the furthest trips you can take outside of going from Miami here. But the Seahawks, pretty good with Sam Darnold all of a sudden. We saw the Bucks fought hard last week. This one should be fun.
Yeah, I live in Florida. I've taken that Seattle trip a few times. That's not a friendly flight. That's a long trip. Seahawks, they're the best in the league in a metric called STEPA, special teams expected points added. Measures the impact of special teams play. They're really good at that. Tampa is next to last in that metric. When you add that to the Seahawks being at home, the Bucks being banged up, Baker Mayfield, it looks like he's going to play, but he's hurt, and it's kind of a questionable thing. They're having to change running backs and such. And the Seahawks Seahawks defense as a whole might be the best defense in the league. Would you add that to that huge special teams advantage? Take the Seahawks.
All right, one thought every game. KC Joyner from The Athletic. Lions and Bengals. I mean, before this sounded like, hey, I got Joe Burrow. It's going to be fun. Yikes, this one could get out of hand if the Lions keep doing. They are a 10.5 road favorite here.
And they're the type of team Campbell won't let up on a defense. Won't let up on a team. He won't be like, oh, we can look past this team. They'll put their foot to the floor. And the Bengals, it's not about talent for the Bengals. You can see that and it's just that all their body language and things. I mean, most of the time I'm a metrics guy, but you see that and you go, if Zach Taylor doesn't get that fixed, it doesn't matter how talented your team is. I don't think he's going to be able to get it fixed, or at least to the level they can beat Detroit. I'm taking Detroit big.
All right, one thought every game. You'll listen to this game after the Eagles and the Broncos. We'll pick up the Commanders and the Chargers. Chargers went on the road last week and lost to the Giants. Now they got to go back in the NFC East here. It is in SoFi, but the Commanders, it's a tough team to get a read on. Jaden Daniels should be back.
It is a tough team to get a read on. In that Chargers game, I mean, I kind of kicking myself for not having more faith in the Giants. Not because they have rookie quarterback and all, but still, it's a 1 o'clock kickoff, a West Coast game, probably a trap game because you got a big game coming up next week at home. I mean, a lot of things led towards that. But look, the Commanders, I mean, when Daniels is in there, 68 points, nearly 700 yards, they're very good. But this is a Jesse Minter defense, and he's a really good defensive coordinator. He'll be a head coach before long. Chargers have shutdown metrics in both on an individual cornerback basis as a team. They're also good against the run. I mean, I'm looking at that going, I know Daniels is coming back, but Washington's not very good on defense, or they're okay, but they're nowhere near as good as the Chargers. It's at L.A. I got to take the Chargers in this one.
All right, one thought every game, Sunday Night Football. That game will be on 97.3 ESPN. Third game of our triple header. This one's Patriots and Bills. Patriots looked good last week. They're kind of interesting. They made moves in the offseason defensively. The Bills obviously can score, but can they defend this game? Drake May, could he have a little fun?
I think it's going to be, like you said, this is going to be a fun game. May's playing really well. New England, you think, okay, the Bills are dominating the AFC East. New England won 2 of the past 4. And I think one of those was an end-of-season game, but still, 2 of the past 4 that they've won, they're thinking, hey, we can go toe-to-toe with these guys. The Bills have a notable edge in many areas, the best offense in the NFL. James Cook's having a fantastic year. I was doing some expected points added research on him earlier this week. It's only 4 games in, but it's like, wow, this could be one of the best seasons of the past quarter century if he can keep it going. A huge plus for them there. So I think the Bills are going to win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Wouldn't be surprised to see it only, with Buffalo, but maybe a field goal.
All right, when this game was put on the Monday Night Football schedule at the beginning of the year, you're thinking, Chiefs, Jags, really? Well, the Jags have the better record right now, but the Chiefs are favored on the road by 3.5. But Jacksonville, is this a sneaky home dog here?
I'm thinking so. They've got 3 more takeaways in 4 straight games, longest streak since 2020. They could stop the run. They're solid in coverage. They've run for 139 or more yards 3 times. And mind you, that's with Etienne alone. They still have Tootin. They could rotate him in the game if they wanted to if Etienne gets a little wore out. I think that's part of why Kansas City's only a 3.5-point favorite. The Chiefs did play better last week. Their offense did. But, again, it's against Baltimore. Everybody plays well against them. So I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to do anywhere near as well. The Chiefs don't stop the run very well. It's at Jacksonville. I'm actually going to – I wouldn't have believed this before the season. I'm picking the Jaguars to win this game.
Wow, there you go. A straight-out win. That's a dog of 3.5, a home dog, I should say, of 3.5. That is one thought every game. Let's get the ultimate thought on Denver and Philadelphia. Philly, obviously, 4-0. But the offense, look, they've scored 64 points the last 2 weeks, but their offense is struggling. A lot of those points have come from block punt, block field goal, stuff like that. But, Denver's a team, you don't think of them as this offensive powerhouse, pretty good defense, really good defense, good offensive line. They got to travel on the road here, so it feels like a weird spot for both of these teams. It almost feels like, okay, Philly's right for the taking, but is this the right team to take them out?
I don't think so, if only because – and I got a lot of faith in Sean Payton, but I think he's going to use that – he's going to be like, hey, we're going to go ground and pound, and we're going to play the same type of game that Philadelphia's going to play. And look, if you're going to go play ground and pound, you're going to play defense and all that, you can go against the Eagles, you're going to play their type of game. This is what they excel in. Okay, I'll take the Eagles probably in that sense just because I think they're better at that than anybody else in the league. And they're at home. I'm looking at that going, okay. And plus, if you look at, I think it's cooking down to which team has a turnover. Philadelphia this year has a huge edge in turnover drive rate. So I think they're I think it carries over. I think they're less likely to have a turnover. One could make the difference. I think the Broncos are more likely to make that turnover than the Eagles are. So I'm taking Philadelphia.
All right, and that was the difference in the game last week, right? The Bucky Irving fumble and the Baker Mayfield interception. Those 2 miscues cost Tampa the game, and Philadelphia took advantage of the fumble. They scored there, and they won to get to 4-0. You can listen to that game right here Sunday at 1 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. He's KC Joyner from The Athletic, and, of course, we do One Thought every game. He'll be back on Tuesday to look back at all the Week 5 action here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, KC Joyner, everybody, and he, of course, is brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. The football scientist KC Joyner is. His luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today. BMW Atlantic City, Egg Harbor Township. Looks like Detroit's going to move on.
Yeah, I think it's time for those Cleveland Guardian fans to hit the exits.
That's it.
6-1.
You'd be leaving if you were there.
I would be leaving this game 6-1 in the 7th, I think it is.
Come on. I mean, you can't leave.
You think 5 runs is possible in 2 innings.
Doesn't matter if it is. If it happens, I need to be there for it.
Don't you want to beat the traffic?
You never do. You ever notice that? You leave early and there's always traffic. It's like nobody left early, yet there's always traffic.
There's always someone making a mistake out there,
always.
Not knowing how to drive.
Padres and Cubs are about to start. We'll have that on here at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. Also tonight, Red Sox, Yankees. You can hear the game on 97.3 ESPN. Over on our sister station, Rock 104.1, we'll have Thursday Night Football, Niners and Rams. What's getting the TV in your house tonight?
I'm going to go Yankees Sox.
I like that.
Got to go Yankees.
You got a good Thursday night game, though, tonight.
I mean, and I do have some fantasy implications, but.
By the way, good news for all the YouTube TV subscribers. YouTube TV and NBC struck a deal. So.
Good for them.
Doesn't mean you're not going to lose NBC Philadelphia. I don't care about the other parts of the NBC channel. I don't need any of those. Just don't want to lose NBC Sports Philadelphia. All right, when we come back, we got plenty more to go. We got Sixers, by the way, down in Abu Dhabi. They went 3 of 35 from 3. Not a good start. Maybe they were a little jet-lagged.
Oh, is that we going to blame it on?
It's possible. We're back with more Sports Bash live at Chickies and Pete's, 97.3 ESPN. 8:31. We're back here at Chickies and Pete's. Everybody, it's a Chickies and Pete's Thursday. Don't forget you can stop out for Thursday Night Football tonight. They got Niners and Rams. We have that game over on our sister station, Rock 104.1. And then, of course, the Yankees-Red Sox game 3. They'll have that game on here. We'll have it on the radio, 97.3 ESPN. This fall, enjoy Chickies and Pete's seasonal menu favorites. Tasty A.J. Brown Sweet Heat Wings, Chickies Sliders, Savory Buffalo Shrimp, Baked Oysters, and so much more. ChickiesandPete's.com for details and locations. You eat oysters there, Peachy?
I do. Sure do.
There's a place, I was just talking to one of the managers here. We're heading to Dewey on Saturday. And when you take the ferry over to Lewis and your drive from Lewis to Dewey, on the way there is a brewery called Big Oyster. Big barn. It's got a huge oyster shell on it. So
they do serve oysters, I imagine.
Yeah, they do. I saw the menu. There's a couple. There's a Crooked Hammock Brewery over there. I've been there before. That's right in like right off the when you get off the ferry, you drive like 5 minutes, and the Crooked Hammock's there, and then the Big Oyster Brewery is right past that. And then once you get into Rehoboth, well, that's where Iron Hill was. It just closed.
Yeah, poor Iron Hill.
Saw that, right?
Yep.
And there's a Thompson Island. There's another brewery over there. There's a couple other ones like Rehoboth. And then on our way to Dewey, the Dewey Brew Company is where we might stop by to watch a little Phillies. And what are you doing for the Phillies game? You know yet?
I do not. Probably watching at my house. You know,
6 o'clock is a good time.
It's a great time. Saturday night, 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Can't
but like,
beat that time.
see, the 6 o'clock time for what we're doing, we're taking the ferry over early in the morning. And on the way over, we'll do a little lunch, like Rehoboth, bang, 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 park the car in Dewey, which is where we're staying. And then that strip in Dewey has a bunch of different places to hang out and watch the game. But you can kind of hang out, like, you know, during the day, and then the game at 6 o'clock, you settle in. And by the time that game's over.
That's my plan. I'm going to do some landscaping during the day, lay some pavers down.
Wow.
Take care of that, and then settle in for Saturday night. And then Sunday, we get a day off, but we really don't get a day off because we've got the Birds on.
Yeah, I could have used a later Birds game.
You could have used a 4:25.
Well, I'm going to be on that ferry at like 2 something or another, I think. So I'm going to be watching that game. Now, do you think they'll have the game on the ferry?
I mean, you would think, right?
Like upstairs, like they have that area where you could sit.
They got a little bar, right?
Well, there's a bar outside upstairs on the ferry. I know that. But I don't remember because I'm usually sitting at that bar outside on the, you know, like I've never, very rarely been inside. I got to imagine they have the game on the TV, right?
Now, next week, if you want to look ahead a little bit, Eagles-Giants on Thursday night, you get that game out of the way.
No, you don't.
Why
Because,
not?
well, yes, on Sunday the Eagles don't play, but the problem with the Thursday game is the Phillies play Thursday night as well.
Right, so you're going to have a little conflict there.
And the Flyers opener is that night. Where's that rank on your list?
That's going to be third.
3.
Yeah, I mean, I might be tuning into a political show at that point. Flyers are down there, man.
Don't do it, man.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. Yes, because next Thursday night, the 9th, it's Eagles-Giants, Amazon Prime.
That's going to be tough.
97.3 ESPN. Phillies-Dodgers game 4.
Hopefully the series is wrapped up.
Well, if the
by
Phillies
then.
sweep or the Dodgers sweep, then you wouldn't have to worry about the conflict
we need it to
there.
Yeah, we need it.
By the way, the Phillies-Dodgers game 4, that would be on Rock 104.1. And the Flyers open up against the Stanley Cup champions that night. That's the start of the regular season. There you go.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see what we got going on the text board over here. I saw some texts coming in. 609-403-0973. Rain EHC says, been on the ferry. They do play the games on the TV on the inside. I watched Thanksgiving Day game on way back from Lewis one time. Now, Ray, that is information that I needed. Right? You ask and you shall receive. You get a nice question out there.
That is called crowdsourcing, my friend.
Mike tried Dewey Beer and the Wood-Fired Pizza, Agave restaurant for great margaritas and Spanish food. James from Delaware. Should I take James from Delaware's take? I've been to the Dewey Beer Company. My beer of choice down there, James, is Swishy Pants.
Now, the wood-fired pizza, I like that idea.
Yeah, now where did you say, asked if I've been to a pizza place down there?
Who, me?
Yeah. Did you ask me if I've tried it?
Grotto's. Yeah, Grotto's Pizza.
And where's that, Rehoboth?
Yeah, I mean, the one that I had was in Rehoboth.
Yeah, I may have, I'm sure I've had pizza down there before, but I don't remember the name of the place. So I've been to the Starboard that has like the Bloody Mary bar. You can basically pick whatever you want to go inside this Bloody Mary if you want. Now, I'm not a big Bloody Mary guy, but my girlfriend likes a Bloody Mary. So we might stop there. I've been to Jimmy's Famous before. That place is kind of like it's like an old ski lodge or something, And they've got the Vegas sign. Is like
I like that idea.
Yeah, it says like Jimmy's Famous, like the Vegas sign. Been to Rehoboth, like that street in Rehoboth. There's like a long, kind of like a 96th Street in Stone Harbor type of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be bebopping around. For the people in Delaware, if you have any suggestions for me as we're heading over there to watch the game. That's one of the things.
Now, you were there for game 1 last year, right?
Yeah, and the Phillies lost.
Wheeler's game, yeah.
Yes.
So hopefully there's a better result.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I can deal with a 1-0 game the whole way through. Phillies give up the lead.
But that's been these playoffs. I mean,
True.
the game today, Cleveland and Detroit was 1-1 until Detroit just busted it open. And now they're up 6-1. But, I mean, every game has been these close games. And, that's where this series does give you a little bit. The offenses have been at a premium. And the one team whose offense has come through has been LA's.
Yeah, with the home runs.
And it's not like L.A. faced Hunter Green. I mean, it's not like he's a stiff. And they didn't seem to have a lot of problem with him. And that's my biggest worry about this series is this. And we're going to dive deep into this series tomorrow on the show. And my biggest worry about this thing is this, is that Christopher Sanchez spins a gem, and what's his pitch count? Right? You get into the 7th inning, he's 110 pitches. Then what? And the game's 1-1. How do you feel about that? Because that's the scenario that has happened in all these games that we've seen so far, especially the game ones. In game 1, Tigers, Indians, or Guardians, it was Skubal, 1-1. That game was a one-run game, right? Same with the Yankees, Red Sox the other day. That game was freed against Crochet. I see that kind of game going for Phillies and Dodgers.
I mean, I think to me, Christopher Sanchez has earned the right to probably stay out there in that scenario, right? This season with the way he's pitched.
I can't argue with that, but I guess the question would be, is he – you can earn the right to keep going, but because this is the problem with the pitch counts and all this stuff, okay? You don't let these guys prove that they can do it. And if you don't prove that you can do it, when you need them to do it, they don't know if they can do it. So he might hit the wall at 100 pitches because he never throws over 100 pitches. You might say, you know what, I want to see if you can get to 110, 115, and they never let them do that. So if I need you to throw 110 pitches, I don't know that you can do it because you haven't done it. You got to go back to high school for these guys when these coaches are leaving them out there for 198 pitches. Right? You got a college pitcher throwing 247 pitches en route to winning the Omaha World Series, and then he gets to the majors, and the guy's like, you're only allowed to throw 74.
Well, when a guy gets pulled in June or July, whatever, his pitch count's too high, what are you saving him for? October, right? Is that why these guys get pulled early?
Well, it's a combination.
You're saving them for October?
It's a good question. It's a combination of everything. It's, hey, there's whatever studies have been done is that these pitch counts are helping save these guys' arms. My contention would be you did that when he was a kid, right? You did the pitch counts when he was a kid to save his arm that when he became a professional that he can now pitch. The problem is you are treating professionals like they're high school pitchers. When you're in high school, okay, fine. I don't want you to throw your arm out in a high school game or like a little league game or whatever. Okay, fine. You put the pitch counts in. the whole point is that you saved your arm at that level of your life to become a professional so that you can now be free to pitch.
Right.
Instead, you've got the shackles on these guys. Like, I can't throw more than 90 pitches in a game. And the problem with these guys this is another big problem. A lot of these guys they're not pitchers, they're throwers. So they're throwing 80 pitches in 5 innings. They can't get out of the 5th inning with a low pitch count because they can't pitch.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, Mike, which is you used to have Heath Bell on the show. And one of the things Heath Bell used to bring up is the reason why he hates pitch counts is because not all pitches are equal. That, 90 pitches for one guy is not the same for somebody else. So you could argue that the pitch count is actually hurting the pitcher more than it's helping because instead of gauging the pitcher on what is the stress level, what is the kind of pitch he's throwing, what is the situation he's pitching in, you're judging him off of an arbitrary number.
I hate the pitch count. So, I think the pitch count is ridiculous. And I even think the pitch count hurts, quite frankly. Like, I get it. The problem you have is you have egregious people throwing kids, 130, 40, 50 pitches on a weekend ridiculous tournament, like stuff like that. That's why you had to end up doing it because you had people being egregious with it. But it's really hurt the big league game now. Now, to go to your other question, Pete, which is why do you pull them out in July? It's because I don't want you throwing 130 pitches in a game in July to wear you down. So there's got to be a balance in there somewhere of, hey, listen, if you're throwing a good game tonight and we want you to kind of show that you can throw 115 pitches in a game if we need you, you can't just all of a sudden say, can you throw 115? You know what I mean? That's where you're asking a guy to do something that he really isn't accustomed to doing. Now, I want to see how Crochet bounces back. Now, my intuition would say he'll be fine. You know why? He's a grown-ass man. He can throw 115 pitches in a game.
That's a good point, actually, with what we saw last night from Snell. Yamamoto. How does he bounce back in this series?
Yamamoto's a smaller guy, too. He's not the biggest guy. So we'll see how he kind of – now, listen, there's a reason why there's a 5-man rotation. These guys used to throw 130, 40 pitches in a game, and then you sat your ass down and you didn't throw for a week, your 5 days. And then you were – by the time – the whole process of what happens with the pitch count and the inflammation, you throw 80 pitches in a day. You have inflammation in your shoulder. The next day, the inflammation starts to go down until it gets to a point. The problem with, pitch count where you don't have the endurance built up. That's where it hits you, is you don't have the endurance built up to throw 100 pitches if you're only throwing 70 all the time. That's where it hits you. Your legs start to give out on you. Your legs people don't realize you don't pitch with your arm, you pitch with your legs. Your legs should be killing you when you're done pitching. If you're any good, your legs should hurt. But that's where these guys tire out, because if you only throw 70 pitches every game, if you're going up to 90 and 100 now, your legs are giving out on you because your legs aren't used to throwing that much. And that's where you end up getting bit sometimes. But we'll see. I think this is going to be a huge, huge chess match with the pitching in this particular series. Because why? Ohtani, what's his pitch limit? Blake Snell is a low pitch count guy. He's a guy who generally doesn't get much further than the 6th inning. You got those two guys who have major pitch count. I can't believe, that's the storyline of the series, though, right? Those two guys and their pitch counts up against what Philadelphia brings to the table. We'll see. We'll see. By the way, Yankees-Red Sox tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. And if the Yankees win, the Phillies will play at 6:38. And if the Red Sox win, the Phillies will play at 6:08 on Saturday. Got it?
And by the way, Cubs are up 2-0, looks like.
There you go.
Bottom of the second.
Who's pitching for the Cubs, and who's that?
That is Darvish got pulled, actually. He's gone. And Jameson Taillon for the Cubs.
Like it. This time of the year, man. I like that you're going to baseball tonight. That makes me happy.
Well, you got to. I mean, every pitch, you just live and die on every pitch.
Have to.
And I'm not even a fan of the Yankees or the Red Sox, but it's just so intense. Get your juices flowing, man.
Yeah, man. Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Sixers lost today. They went 3 of 35 from 3. That was a preseason game, by the way. You didn't miss the opener. The opener is October 22nd against the Celtics. And you can listen to Sixers basketball on 97.3 ESPN. You see what Charles Barkley said about the Sixers?
Nah, what did he say?
He said if the Sixers are healthy this year, they could win the East.
Well, if wishes were fishes, we'd all be in ocean.
All right. Closing out the show. Coming up next, the Eagles injury report just dropped, by the way. All right, get ready to get out of here. Chickies and Pete's, the place to be for all of the Major League Baseball playoffs. And, of course, Eagles football is the official home of the Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's, we're here in Atlantic City at the Tropicana. They got the games on right now. It's a 6-3 Detroit and Cleveland. And then over on the National League side, what's it, 2-0 Cubbies?
2-0 Cubbies, yep.
So both those games on, followed by the Yankees and the Red Sox tonight. You can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. And then over on our sister station, Rock 104.1, we'll have the 49ers and the Rams for you. And you can listen to that game on our sister station, Rock 104.1. Remember, all football season long, if you're looking for the best college football and NFL games, Rock 104.1 has them. Eagles football this Sunday on 97.3 ESPN. The Eagles take on the Denver Broncos. The Eagles injury report is out. It's kind of light for today. Limited Nakobe Dean, Dallas Goedert. Full participants, Carter, Adoree, and Lane Johnson. And one DNP today was Grant Calcaterra, who looks like he was sick. So Eagles pretty healthy heading into the Denver game. Tomorrow on the Sports Bash, former Broncos safety, our buddy Nick Ferguson is on the show tomorrow. Nick Ferguson, always a great guest. Former Broncos safety Nick Ferguson tomorrow on the Sports Bash. Also, Sal Paolantonio tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. It's a Sal Pal Friday and football at 4 with Adam Kaplan. And we'll get you ready for the Phillies and the Dodgers. Busy show tomorrow, busy show today in the books. Thanks to all our guests, everybody who texted in throughout the day. And coming up next, we've got the best of the Sports Bash, followed by the Yankees and the Red Sox. 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 55 seconds from right now. You'll hear the Yankees and the Red Sox on 97.3 ESPN. All right. By the way, Sixers lost today down there in Abu Dhabi. They are playing again on Saturday morning at 11. So you can get the little Sixer hoops on Saturday morning before all your college football. Have a great night, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow.